Hello, everyone, and welcome to America's Day at the Races on a beautifully sunny day here in South Ozone Park, Queens. You're checking out the Manhattan skyline as we are brought to you here on FS2 by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, check out americasbestracing.net today. Well, what a difference a day can make as we had heavy rain once again for about the sixth Saturday in a row here in the New York area. It has left us off the turf with some muddy conditions, but the flag is flying. That means there's some drying out ones. We'll see if we get an upgrade throughout the day, but it's so nice to be here with you as well as with my partner. I'm Maggie Wolfendale. Sarah L. Bodway joins me. We'll get to Richard Migliore and Jonathan Kinchin in a bit, but Sarah, we do have a pick six carryover, and we're going to start things off here with the first leg in race number 4.
I know, an exciting sequence to go through, and we did have that carryover yesterday after we saw Cowan upset the field as the longest shot, and sometimes the only one you need is one price within the sequence to trigger things over to the next day. So it's been a formful start to the card, but we could see things shake up later on.
Yeah, it felt like a pretty logical, sequence kind of going into it. But as you mentioned, chaos can happen, and it will be highlighted by the 8th race today, which is a New York bred allowance. And we'll see the return of General Banker in here, Sarah. We haven't seen him since mid-May when trying the turf. Before that, though, he was about as much of an overachiever as you could possibly ask for in a horse, picking up graded stakes placings in the Gotham and the Withers.
And breaking his maiden in a stakes race that was restricted to those New York breds as a 2-year-old. And of course, he might have appreciated had we had a little bit more rain and moisture in the track today, but just a reliable, consistent type of horse that was always outrunning his odds, tried some graded stakes on the road to the Kentucky Derby, didn't quite stack up to that level of competition, and now he does return off a little bit of a break.
Yeah, he'll return today for Jimmy Ferraro. Does get Javier Castellano, Hall of Famer, in the irons for the first time. Well, that is just one of the races on today's program, as we will see that pick 6 start here in race number 4, and we will, with a lower level claimer, but we'll also see that late pick 5 start in race number 5, as well as that 8th race. And if you want to play along with us, make sure you do so with a Naira Bets account. New members can earn up to a $200 deposit match bonus when you use promo code MATCH200. Make sure you jump online and check out NairaBets.com. Well, for more help with that pick 6 sequence, JK, is it as chalky as we perceive it, or have you come up with some prices to take advantage of that pick 6 carryover?
Well, Maggie, you know how it goes, right? When it looks really chalky, all the bombs come in. When it looks really interesting and bomby is when the chalk wins. We know how that goes. But I will say this, it's a great opportunity if you're not familiar. Carryovers when the day before, or the last racing day before today, happened to be yesterday, the wager isn't hit. So all that money that's in the pool that carries over to the next day, which makes it a great opportunity for those of us that are playing today. It's kind of free money seeded into the pool, as it were. It's why it's such a great opportunity. It's why carryovers are one of the biggest moments in horse parimutuel betting. Look, the sequence is pretty tricky to a certain extent because a lot of people, I think, will have to make a decision in race 6. What do you want to do with Silo Ridge? Do you want to single there? There is also the 4-horse Silo Ridge. There's also the 6 Phelpsy in there that looks a little bit interesting. I think that Silo Ridge will likely be the most singled horse in the sequence. And then you've got the tricky puzzles of race 7 and race 9. We're taking off the turf. A lot of times in those races, you'll get an MTO that really stands out, or a horse that you can tell significantly appreciates the dirt more than the others. I didn't really see those horses. I think those races are actually a little bit more wide open than one would think. But like I said, I think the key to this sequence and the payout of this sequence is in race 6, the 4, Silo Ridge. To Silo Ridge or not to Silo Ridge.
Yeah, he looks pretty tough in that spot, JK. Great point to make. This pick six certainly pivoting on that race, as we do have horses hitting the track, though, for the first leg. Race number 4, claiming 16 non-2 life, going the mile, as we'll start things with a layoff runner, number 1, Uncle Waterflow.
And this is an aggressive drop in class, a horse that's never faced this level of competition before.
Are you as shocked as me to see 9-5 on Lucky Lucky Luke?
A little bit. I mean, the scratch of Happy Bob certainly changes things as far as the wagering, but that's awfully short, though. Number 8, Good Report, is favored in doubles.
Drop down for number 3, Legendary Lore.
Has run most of his career on this circuit, ships in from Parks. The form recently a little bit of a question, but is getting class relief.
Long shot Scotto.
He just really hasn't been competitive lately in most of his races.
Number 5 is Strong Light. Ran well last time, but loses Kendrick Carmouche.
He does. A horse that can pop up with some decent board-hitting performances, but tends to need some pace to close into.
Number 6, Proven Hope. Can run fast enough, but he's not a winning type.
No, he can be a little bit more forward, especially in here coming out of a race where a lot of horses wanted to be forward.
Here's your current second choice. Number 8, Good Rapport. Michelle Giangulio teams up with Kendrick Carmouche.
And he gets a nice spot towards the outside, and with that scratch, he does seem like the main speed in here.
Well, if you want to follow along with today's races and get all the stats on the horses, trainers, and jockeys, you can download your free EchoBase past performances when you visit naira.com/TV schedule and get all the races covered on today's show. Well, now it's time to welcome in the 4th member of our team for champion jockey, Richard Migliore. He's standing by. And Mig, you've had a good look at this field. Who you liking?
Yeah, it really is a good-looking group for lower-level horses, and just watching them go by me now, we've got a good hard seal on this track, meaning it's not harrowed. The floats have gone over it and kind of packed it down hard. And you can actually hear the difference between horses that are a little bit heavier on their feet and horses that are a little bit lighter on their feet. A horse that's coming off of a layoff, taking a drop in class, that looks very fit. We'll start down on the inside. There's the 1, Uncle Waterflow. I just think he's really well turned out. For a horse that's coming off a layoff, he looks very fit to me. And he was one of the ones that was very light on his feet getting over this racetrack. I know there's questions because he hasn't started since back in May. And previous to that, it was back in December. So obviously big gaps in this horse's form. But that being said, he really caught my eye, and I like the way he got over the racetrack. The 2, Lucky Lucky Luke, would have got the Paddock check mark. I liked what I saw. He was a bit heavier on his feet, galloping over on the backstretch. I think he's going to be very tough to beat. Didn't anticipate 6-5 on him, but he's framing up beautifully on the racetrack, warming up nicely under Ruben Silvera. The 3, Legendary Law, also making a nice impression. A horse that caught my eye in the paddock and continued to catch my eye on the racetrack. And then we'll go to the outside, and Good Rapport will be my top selection. I like the way he got over the track. Again, a little bit lighter on his feet, and that's something that you actually can distinguish. This is the sound of how their hooves are hitting the ground. He, to me, looks like he's controlling speed from the outside, and I'll take 2-1 over 6-5 on the 2-horse Lucky Lucky Luke.
Well, Sarah, I think you're in good company here with number 8, Good Rapport. I will say Lucky Lucky Luke looking fantastic out in the track, but why did you decide to go with number 8, a Good Rapport, over Lucky Lucky Luke?
Well, he comes out of a race where we did see Gut Feeling and Mama's Gold do a little bit better than him. That was a day that you likely wanted to be a little bit more forward on the racetrack, and he had a slight bobble at the break. He had to alter course at the top of the stretch, and I don't think that he was ever winning that race, but he was at least mildly inconvenienced in terms of being able to continue his forward momentum. So now, mainly with this scratch of Happy Bob, he does look to be the controlling speed of this race, and that could put him in a perfect type of position to just take this field gate to wire. And you know that Kendrick Carmouche is not going to take anything away from a horse that does have early speed.
Kendrick's gotten off to a good start here with this Belmont at the Big A meeting, as he does tend to ride this oval quite well. He'll be looking to team up with Michelle Giangulio, who they have had a lot of success together. But 6-5 currently on Lucky Lucky Luke. Second time out for the Mike Maker barn, JK. He looks the part, and this might just be his level.
Yeah, look, this is one of those situations where if I can see a horse who's got a couple of nice performances for for multiple trainers, it kind of gives me a little confidence that there's something to be found in maybe improving this horse second time for Mike Maker. You see, the horse ran well for a couple of connections earlier this year. This is one of those situations where it's just a speed figure play to me. I'm not crazy about the price that we're getting on this horse. I'm hoping that the 8 maybe takes a little bit of a late hit, get the price up a little bit on Lucky Luke. I just think that if this horse can kind of get back to some of the previous dirt numbers, should be pretty tough. And the other thing is, too, when you have a horse who ran on the turf last time, didn't run particularly well, sometimes I can kind of dirty up the form a little bit and make people kind of lean away. It's not happening yet with this horse being 6-5, but I predicted that was probably something that might happen because it just looks like, you look down, you kind of lazy handicap the race, and you say, he was 5th beaten 6th last time, but that was at 18-1 on the turf. I think this is a different situation, back on the dirt. I like Lucky Luke. I've got no problem with the 8 horse that a majority of you guys like. I just thought the prices would actually be flipped. I thought I'd get a better number on the 2.
I did too going into this race, Sarah. But look, when you pick apart Lucky Luke's form, like JK had been, I mean, you go back to his maiden 20 win, which when you win a maiden 20, I think you're immediately almost worth half of that. I'm speaking in generalities. And he ran a fast figure that day, so you can't blame Connections for going ahead and upping him in class. At the end of the day, this is probably where he belongs. I think the 1 turn mile on the dirt is probably best for him, which he's getting here today. And Mike Maker does have good numbers. Second off the claim, turf to dirt, 7 for 29.
Yeah, it's a powerful stat for him, a trainer who has a lot of horses, who doesn't necessarily have the best numbers with certain maneuvers because he just has so many horses to choose from. You see that often with a trainer like Steve Asmussen. There's just so much stock that he can't have the sort of number power that other trainers can. So I think that stat is extremely meaningful in this case. And while I like Jonathan's theory of a horse that might look like he has some dirtied up form going from the turf now to the dirt and dropping in class, it's just not playing out that way in the wagering. It might be a principle that you could bring to another type of race, even if it isn't something that would be effective to use here.
Right. I totally hear what you're saying.
So nice out today.
I have to be inside today. Yesterday I'm outside all day getting wet. That is just my luck, but it does look really nice out there. Mig is certainly enjoying himself out there on track, and I keep looking over at your notebook, and you have the most exquisite handwriting.
Thank you. I think it's the second time it's been brought up on the show
that serial killers have, Sarah. No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
I am totally kidding.
That's a first.
It's very small and neat, where I am like big chicken scratch. But anyway, I kid. I totally kid. Let's talk a little bit about.
To save you earlier.
She is a lifesaver, not a killer. Let's make that straight. As Uncle Waterflow, Mig liking what he saw from a horse who is coming back off of a layoff. Now, at the end of the day, he might not be any good, but you kind of wonder with Tony Dutrow. Claimed him, gave him 6 months off, protected him for 40. Now he drops him after a 5-month layoff. Can he wake him up here at all?
I mean, he's never faced a level quite like this so far in his career, so you might think that maybe the class relief could be helpful for him, but it is a bit of a red flag to me to have a horse that's off from December and then till May and then off from then until now. And while Tony Dutrow does have some okay numbers overall, it's a small sample size, but off a layoff like this, he is 0 for 7 in dirt routes with none to hit the board. So even if he runs okay, he might need a start to really get back into some type of form.
Yeah, what's interesting with the stats on Formulator, that we find these stats, they're only for the past 5 years. Now, my memory and history of Tony Dutrow goes far beyond that. And, you look at his claiming numbers as of recently, he doesn't claim that many horses, whereas you go back 10, 15 years, and he did that quite often. So I think you'd find maybe different stats if you go back a decade, but that's a long time to go back, as we won't have to go back that far to get to this race. As we get it up to Chris Griffin, who brings you the start of this pick 6 sequence. It's race number 4, Belmont at the Big A.
Good rapport, last to load to the outside. Start of the pick 6. Good rapport goes in. All set. And they're off. Good rapport, broke beautifully from the outside, has early speed. In between horses there comes Legendary Lore, and also at the rail, that's Uncle Waterflow. That's the leading trio, moving right towards the outside. Here comes Proven Hope to apply some pressure, but Good Rapport has secured the front end as they come out of the chute. It's Kendrick Carmouche and Good Rapport, and they are up by about 3/4 of a length now out in the center of the racetrack. Moving in tandem down towards the inside, that's Legendary Lore, who's in the two-path now and nose in front of Uncle Waterflow, who's battling on towards the inside with that wide run is Proven Hope. That's the leading four. Just off of them, that's Ruben Silvera with Lucky Luke, and second to last is Scotto with the trailer under a tight hold is Strong Light, who's at the back end of the field, 6 lengths off the lead. Good Rapport is approaching a half-mile left to go. It is in command. It's Good Rapport who will take him into that far turn now. Still in the two-path there is Legendary Lore. Proven Hope is ranging up on the outside. Uncle Waterflow is all in. They're not cutting into the margin yet. At 8-5, Good Rapport is doing it nicely so far. Proven Hope is secured second now over Legendary Lore. Dropping back is Uncle Waterflow. The gray Strong Light has been progressing through the field, is under a tight hold, is in between horses. They approach a 1/4 mile left to go. Good Rapport now kicks away with a host of pursuers in behind. Good Rapport is trying to find a final furlong. Lucky Luke is in gear. Strong Light is also looking for some room, and they are coming after this leader now. Good Rapport is trying to put it away. Strong Light's going to be in between horses. Lucky Luke, and they brush. Here comes Strong Light from last to first. Strong Light wins it. Strong Light had a number to kick off the pick six. Then came Good Rapport. Lucky Luke is in that photo in 1 minute 38 and 4.
JK called it. When it feels chalky, it never is. And a 17-1 shot, Sarah, kicks things off here in this pick six as number 5. Strong Light crosses the wire first. Romero Mirage weaving his way through traffic throughout. Now, you did hear Chris Griffin say that they may have brushed. We'll take a look eventually at the head-on, but he does get through here.
He does, and Chris Griffin was also very quick to point out that he was under a strong hold and he was traveling nicely and really made up quite a bit of ground in this race because I mean, he was a horse that seemed like he was going to be a little bit pace compromised, but he was in a pretty good position early on, and that was a smart ride from Romero Mirage to be able to slice through. We'll take a look at the head-on.
Yeah, take a look. Now, I thought it was interesting. Kendrick Carmouche kept number 8 in here. Good Rapport out and about the 4 path the whole way around there, and you're going to see the red blinkers and gray and red cap of Strong Light angle out here as we'll take a look at this head-on. Kendrick angling Good Rapport out. Sarah, that looks pretty darn clean to me. If anything, Kendrick's the one to blame.
Yeah, I personally don't see anything. You never know, but I do not see any grounds for any change to be occurring in here.
Mig, any reason to look at this?
No, not at all. I really think Romero Mirage contributed a tremendous ride and had a big hand in this victory with Strong Light. He had established his path very cleanly, saved ground, was able to weave his way through the field, and he had established his line when the outside horse came in a little bit on him and the horse that was on the lead, Good Rapport, drifted out slightly. Romero Mirage, he rode that absolutely beautifully.
It's good to see Romero get the win for Willie Youngins here, one of the nicest guys on the track with a small stable. They get the win, had an improved effort last time and upsets this field in this non-2 for 16 at 17-1, making things interesting in this pick six. Stay tuned. More to come on America's Day at the Races.
A Grade 1 winner of nearly $2 million, Silver State hails from the sire line of legendary Claiborne stallion Danzig. And his second dam is full sister to Kentucky Derby winner Monarchos. After winning the Oaklawn Handicap, Silver State defeated Knicks Go in the Grade 1 Metropolitan Handicap. Now his first foals have arrived. Grade 1 winner Silver State, standing at Claiborne Farm. RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
We are getting festive here on America's Day at the Races. Nearly Halloween time. It's Belmont at the Big A, and we are proudly brought to you by NyraBets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Well, we start things off with a bomb, 17-1 on Strong Light, as he makes things interesting here in this first leg of the pick six sequence, returning 37-40 for Willie Youngins. Romero Mirage delivering a masterful ride, and he's standing by with Richie.
Yeah, thanks, Maggie. And a Strong Light got a strong ride from Romero. You did everything right. I mean, watching the replay, you were outside, but you tucked in right before the turn. You had horse, but you made every right move there. Could you kind of feel the way it was setting up that, like, this is like one of my highlight reel rides?
I'm just trying to give the horse the best trip as possible. One thing that my older cousin Raj and I have been working on excessively was just consistently giving the right trips to horses, even if you don't have the horse. And this time, luckily, I had the horse. He's very persistent on, not moving too early, not going to the stick early, and saving ground. And that's really what helped me in this ride going to the turn. Right before the turn came up, I was actually in the 5 or 6 path, and I was like, no, there's no shot to win from there. So I dropped in and just followed whoever was moving at that point. But, all the credit is to everybody who's been helping me, all my mentors, that this is for them, pretty much.
Well, listen, it's fun for me. I like to watch riders that really have a hand in the victory. Sometimes you win races, you're just on the best horse. You make more out of less than most riders, and you've been consistently hitting the board on horses at big prices. And it's just that, your preparation and saving ground. And what you did in the stretch was, I thought, phenomenal. You established your line, and you went absolutely straight and really made the difference.
Yeah, it's just a lot of practicing, watching replays. Following the right horse and having enough horse is a big part of it, because sometimes, as you know, as a rider, when your horse isn't finishing the best, you may hit them left-handed, right-handed, and they may move all over the place. So that's one of the things I've been trying to improve on, is consistently having a good hold of my horse and being in control at all times.
Well, another thing that I really like that a lot of other people probably didn't see is the kiss you gave the horse before you dismounted. You have a true appreciation for the horses, don't you?
Yeah, I love the horses. I got a lot of appreciation for the horse, especially when I fell, because I went a year without even sitting on a horse, so my love for them grew excessively, and I really found out how much I really do appreciate the horses they've given myself and so much people in our industry probably a life that we would have never even dreamt of. It's really a dream for me to wake up every morning and go and work with horses.
It's a real pleasure to watch you work, and guys, he does appreciate it. And anybody paying attention, he consistently puts his horses in a position to win. He just doesn't always have enough horse to get it done. Guys got to start paying attention. This is a rider to be contended with.
And so good to see Romero with that win. I'm sure somebody that's going to get some more business as we head into the winter months here, Sarah. And he was talking about his cousin, Rajiv Mirage, who had so much success on the Naira circuit, now retired. But to have somebody like that as your mentor, and two, Romero getting up every morning. He's very active on Twitter, and he always posts a picture of, his morning from the back of a horse, and it shows how much it means to him. And I love that, what he said about the horse meaning everything.
Right, absolutely. And just what he mentioned there of having that time off to really realize how much it means to you and how much you miss it. Of course, probably building that appreciation as well. But everything that he said about thinking through that ride and realizing that he needed to save some ground and get himself into a good position and maintain that straight line, just as Richie mentioned, all really did contribute to the success that he had in that race.
Guy doing his homework, and it pays off, that's for sure. To be studious and to work hard as race number 5 coming up. It is a maiden 30 for the state breds going the 6 furlongs. Romero will be aboard a long shot that we're both a little interested in Majestic Arc coming up. We'll see if we can see another upset in leg number 2 of this pick 6, but certainly no upsets yesterday when it came to the stakes action. Stay tuned. We'll get into the Sands Point and the off-the-turf Floral Park after these messages.
Daredevil, returning to stud on U.S. soil. The only first crop sire to see 2 offspring win the Grade 1 Kentucky Oaks and the Grade 1 Preakness Stakes in the same year. She dares the devil, taking the Kentucky Oaks and the Grade 2 Azeri Stakes, and champion Swiss Skydiver, winning the Preakness and the Grade 1 Beholder Mile Stakes. With more exciting prospects on the track and multiple 6-figure sales in the ring, Daredevil's career is just getting started, only at Lane's End.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings right from your phone with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
History remembers moments of extraordinary strength, skill, and determination. True greatness is forged by those who fulfill their destiny.
Kentucky October Yearlings, over 1,600 cataloged, featuring yearlings by every major sire in North America. Recent Grade 1 winners include Eclipse Champion and Breeders' Cup Champion Goodnight Olive, and multiple Grade 1 winner Taba, plus these recent graded stakes winners. Your last chance to buy yearlings in 2023. Kentucky October Yearlings, October 23rd through the 26th at Fasig-Tipton in Lexington, Kentucky. Where will you be?
Silver State's somewhat of a throwback stallion. He was very durable. He won 6 times in a row across multiple tracks, Churchill, Oaklawn, Belmont, and he won the Grade 1 Met Mile, which is a very nice stallion making race. Beat Horse of the Year Knicks Go, which he was the only horse to defeat Knicks Go the year they were running.
Finish in the Hillendale Met Mile, and it is Silver State to make it 6 in a row.
And his first falls have hit the ground, and we love what we've seen. He's throwing amazing consistency. There's plenty of substance and leg. We're really happy with what we have on the ground. And I don't think I've ever had more people tell me about a first-year horse than I have this year with people with Silver State foals. He's an imposing horse. Everyone that comes to see him that first year is amazing. They would come and see him, and they'd walk right into Bernie's office and sign a contract, or even ask if they could buy a share. The response to him has been phenomenal. He bred the most mares of any stallion that's ever been in Claiborne his freshman year. Very encouraging for the future, and hopefully we can get lucky.
Personally, I can't wait to see the Silver States, as he is one of the best looking horses I've ever seen run in my history here of doing this job. And we are proudly brought to you by Claiborne Farm, 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. And we'll be seeing what his baby's in year and a half?
Soon.
Something like that. Welcome back to the program. Maggie Wolf-Nil, Sarah El-Badwi, as well as Richard Migliori and Jonathan Kinchin. And Sarah, we saw some rain yesterday. Seems pretty typical around here. Led to a very boggy course for this Sands Point, as we saw a rematch from the Jockey Club Oaks between the Godolphin owned and bred Eternal Hope and the overachieving Nietzsche Marie.
Yeah, you were able to take that Jockey Club Oaks and just copy and paste the results of the top two finishers, and Nietzsche Marie able to finish second, kind of keeping Eternal Hope in a little bit, but ultimately Eternal Hope just able to get the better of her newfound rival, Highland Grace, appreciating some give in the ground as well, finishing third. And you could just tell that there were a lot of contenders in this race that just did not handle the course conditions, but they were no problem for Eternal Hope.
Yeah, with that European pedigree, being a daughter of Teofilio out of the Dubawi mare, and she now wins both of her starts stateside. It'd been a slow year, relative to what we'd seen in the last few for Charlie Appleby and crew, but nice to get the win here with this 3-year-old filly. Mig, it looked like a situation of one horse in particular, her Eternal Hope, handling the course where others just weren't necessarily loving it.
Yeah, it became apparent pretty early who was struggling and who was getting a hold of the course. And, Jamie Spencer had commented after she won the Jockey Club Oaks that she likes some give in the ground. So obviously the conditions really suited her, and I think it helped her get the 1 1/8, where maybe it was a little bit short of her best, but it just shows you how important it is handling that off-going or that softer course, if you will. But listen, give Nietzsche Marie a lot of credit. It's another big effort, and it really reinforced the result of that Jockey Club Oaks. And Jamie Spencer contributed a really nice ride. People could probably watch and see the finish is a little bit different than we see from the riders in North America, much more of a European style, but obviously it was very effective, Maggie.
Yes, it was, and obviously knowing her too, I think helped. He was able to kind of pick her up and really exert as much as he possibly needed from Eternal Hope. And after watching that race, our grounds crew here at NYRA opted to take the 6 furlong Floral Park off the turf. Late change there. We did see a field of 4 going postward.
We did, and the horse that ended up winning this race, Scottish Star, wagering public, obviously very clued into a horse that had that dirt form and experience in the past, early on in her career in Argentina, and then running pretty respectably in some dirt sprints out in California. So she just seemed like the class of this field. You knew that she could handle the surface, and she's able to get the win at a very short price. And risk-free, a horse that hasn't even broken her maiden yet. She's out for 19, but has earned almost $250,000 more over that.
Just that now.
Yeah, she is just so reliable and consistent. You have to kind of root for her too, don't you?
Yeah, and Ed Delor's done a great job of picking the spots and picking up the checks as Risk Free gets a stakes placing now. And like I said to you, I think she might be the richest maiden I've ever seen.
Right, exactly.
Scottish Star getting the job done, though, with Kendrick Carmouche and Todd Pletcher teaming up here. And Richie, when she was moved to Todd, he opted to immediately put her on the turf. And then now the last few starts turn her back. It's kind of interesting. She's a horse that can kind of handle any type of condition.
Yeah, I mean, she's remarkable that way. And, listen, that's the art of training a racehorse, right? You got to kind of figure them out, find their strengths, find their weaknesses, put a horse in a position to succeed or excel, if you will. She got a nice ride from Kendrick. She was always in the right position. But Risk Free, to me, is the story. I mean, obviously, this is, a filly that's racked up the second place finishes, has earned a lot of money while doing it, but give Ed DeLauro a lot of credit. I mean, it seems to me like she kind of runs to the level of her competition, so why not take a shot? Put her in a stake and see what happens, and another good second from her. She's an ATM, right? She just keeps on picking up that cash, and hopefully one day, though, she will get her picture taken. I'd really like to see her in the winner's circle one day, Maggie.
I know. I think we all would, Mig. Yes, risk-free. She always shows up, as you were saying, Sarah. But I think just beaten by the class factor with Scottish Star, the Argentinian-bred for Todd Pletcher, La Providencia, and Ellen J. Foxwoods getting the win. No stakes on today's card, but an interesting pick-six sequence, also highlighted by that 8th race that we'll see coming up for the New York breds. But New York breds here in the paddock looking to break their maiden 7-5 currently on Bad Larry in here. Sarah, I think the track back on September 22nd was not playing kindly to horses inside, and he spent most of the time down on the rail.
Exactly. I mean, he was just against the track that day, and we saw Woodside Warrior, who ultimately finishes second, have more of an outside position. He was the number 11 that day, while Bad Larry was the number 2. And Bad Larry is a horse that even in his prior start, he had showed good speed, and the pace was falling apart in the later stages in there. But this day, he ends up sort of re-rallying for third, and just with the way that he was so against the flow of the racetrack and now drawing outside as outside speed, you can see that that's likely contributing to him ending up being your current favorite.
Despite being beaten by Woodside Warrior in their last meeting, Woodside Warrior, I don't think there's anything you can say in a negative aspect when it comes to competing in this field. It's just that there was the edge of Bad Larry maybe having lesser exposed form and having the trip last time.
And he has more early speed for the most part. I mean, Woodside Warrior is a horse that had been forward in the past, and then in his start 2 back where he kind of missed the break a little bit, we saw that he could come from off the pace, so maybe he is more of that tactical type, and we'll see where he's placed today. But that's sort of what led me to a horse like Bad Larry, who hasn't had as many opportunities and had a valid excuse last time out.
And two, I'm sure connections may be having a little bit to do with the price difference at the moment. Mike Maker with Bad Larry, Mitch Friedman with Woodside Warrior. Now, the kind of other horse in here is number 5, Chalky Cat, but he's just gone the wrong way ever since his debut.
And last time, maybe you can make the argument that he's a horse that was parked out a little bit wide and sitting off of other horses that were more forwardly placed than him, and he did make a move, but he kind of really flattened out in the stretch, and it wasn't just a very inspiring type of performance. You would want to see a little bit more from a horse who seemed like they were going somewhere and then sort of stalled out.
Yeah, he'll make his second start for Eddie Barker here off that trainer change, and second start at this level, as we will get a moment, in a moment, get a chance to meet the field here as this does kick off the 50-cent late pick 5. Track still labeled as muddy and sealed. And as I was saying to you earlier, you know, it's been raining so often that even though it never really poured yesterday, our ground's just so saturated that it just can't take too much water. As we'll start things off, though, with number 1, Mr. Busta, coming off a bit of a layoff.
We haven't seen him in a little while, but he does have a race 2 back where he finished ahead of Bad Larry at a huge price, and he does have some speed from the rail.
There's your second choice, Woodside Warrior going by. Here's number 3, Watch Hill.
A horse that doesn't have as much exposure, avoided claim last time in just his first start, and we could see some improvement second time out. Big price right now.
Blinkers going on, number 4, War Prince.
More of his races have been on the turf, switching back to the dirt off of freshening last time, and just not really competitive in that same race that Woodside Warrior and Bad Larry exit.
And he was with the track that day as number 5, Chalky Cat. Will try to make things right after a poor performance last time.
And that was his first time in for a tag. I just kind of expected more.
Here's a long shot we're interested in, Majestic Art.
Yeah, we'll touch on this one a little bit more later. Against the track in both of his starts so far.
Here's number 7, Malibu Mystery gets a surface change.
And a mystery on the dirt so far, now switching over for David Donk and dropping in class as well.
And there is your 7-5 favorite without a pony. That's okay. Manny Franco looking for another winner.
Yeah, it just makes a lot of sense based on his last race where he had a legitimate excuse being against the racetrack. He has that early speed, and if he can run his race 2 back, he should be pretty successful in here.
All right, that is the other Mike Maker horse. If you want to play along with today's races, do so with a Naira Bets account. New members will earn that $200 deposit match bonus when you use promo code MATCH200. As horses commence their warm-up, we'll check back in with Jonathan Kinchin. And JK, well done for at least calling some chaos that could happen in this pick 6. Who do you like here?
Yeah, there's nothing like a 17-1 shot to start off the pick 6 where, you really just, you spend all day handicapping, you look, you're excited, you start spinning the money in your head, ooh, go to dinner, and then you get knocked out in the first leg. The best part about that is there's a pick 5 that starts right after it. Look, I think this is a 2-horse race. I thought the last race felt like a 2-horse race. The 2 Woodside Warrior, just the last 2 races are significantly better than what other horses in here have run. The other thing I like about this horse is the horse is tactical. Last time, if you look at the pace figures, I like to look at Time Form US, but if you look at the pace figures on how this horse ran that 6.5 furlong race last time, it suggests that cutting back to the 6 should help Woodside Warrior quite a bit. In a pick 5 situation here, I would actually single Woodside Warrior, although I do respect the 8 Bad Larry drawn towards the outside. This is a horse that, he went 6.5 last time, 7 before that. And honestly, 2 of his best races, in my opinion, were the mile and a 16th that he ran on the turf. And then the 7 furlong race, he ran a couple races back. So what I'm trying to tell you is I think that maybe Bad Larry wants to go a little bit further, and this cutback actually won't help Bad Larry, while I think that it will help the 2 Woodside Warrior.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I will say watching Bad Larry warm up and the aggressive warm up he got from Manny Franco, he just made a really nice impression, and I'm assuming he's going to be up and involved in the game. It appears to me, though, that when you make your run on this racetrack, and you watch Kendrick Carmouche last race kind of staying out, Romero Mirage saving ground but then tipping out. It seems like horses are kind of catching a really good part of the racetrack in the stretch when they're a little bit removed from the rail, at least so far with a small sampling of races. I'll continue to kind of monitor that as we go along. But Bad Larry making a beautiful impression on the racetrack, very aggressive warm-up. A horse that really stood out from a physical perspective, and, me and Maggie talk about it all the time. They have to also have form to back that up. So I'm a little dubious about this horse's chances because that is the 4 War Prince, but he could not look any better. He was eye-catching in the paddock at a huge price. On the racetrack, warmed up beautifully under Trevor McCarthy. Really liked the way he framed up and got in the bit when he left the pony. And a big price. I mean, he's a horse that I've got to pay attention to. And then the 2-horse Woodside Warrior. Listen, I've been a fan of this horse. I've always kind of liked him from a physical perspective. He is tactical and versatile. Last time, I think he did a little more than Dylan wanted to do. He really jumped in the bit, but Dylan kind of, squeezed him a little bit leaving the gate. But the race before, when, he didn't get off very well and he closed the way he did, really kind of pointed out, I think, that this horse kind of found his proper form, and he looks great on the racetrack. I couldn't get past him. I think it's all about Woodside Warrior.
Meg, thank you. We do see rider off number 1 in here, Mr. Busta. Looks like they're untacking. We'll wait for official word, but usually when you see that, Sarah, it is a late scratch. So number 1, Mr. Busta. Looks as though he is coming out of this 5th race, but we both have a little bit of interest in number 6, Majestic Arc, who is the longest price on the board. Lower profile connections, but as you were saying in the post parade, against the track in both starts so far.
Exactly, and we're looking for Romero Mirage to give another smart ride here with the longest shot on the board, as he did in the last race, got a long shot home, and this was something that you clued me into, that he was against the track first time out, because I had noticed it last time in that same race that Bad Larry exits. He's a horse that was on the rail. He broke a little bit slow. He had to rush up into some position, spent the majority of that race right on the rail before angling out in the stretch, and then just had no answer and nothing left. This might be a situation where we're dealing with a horse that's just not very fast, but you can give this horse a legitimate reason for not performing that well in both starts, and he's only run twice, whereas some others have had a couple of opportunities now. At this price, definitely worth including somewhere in those vertical wagers.
And while we've seen, as Mig was pointing out, maybe the best running done down the middle of the racetrack, throughout the card, it feels like a very fair card as far as being placed. You know, we've seen front end winners, we've seen horses like Suspended Campaign early on in the card come from the clouds. So I wonder where Romero has Majestic Arc placed early on. I feel like he's a horse that could show more speed now, extricating himself away from that inside post position in that large field last time, for the fact that he kind of rushed up too. You know, maybe he's a little bit quicker.
Right. We kind of don't know his true running style because he did have to break slowly and then rush up into contention last time and then was already behind other horses. So we might see with a clean break a horse that can be a little bit more forwardly placed.
All right, late scratch of Mr. Busta in here as we do see horses loading up 6-5 on Woodside Warrior. 2 consecutive runner-up efforts. Dylan Davis, Mitch Friedman, they team up again. Will he break through, or will Bad Larry stand in his way? Horses getting into the gate, and we get up to Chris Griffin with the call.
Loading Chalky Cat. Here comes Majestic Arc. 2 out. Malibu Mystery. Malibu Mystery backs away. Bad Larry. Last to load. Is in. All set. And they're off. They broke well towards the outside there under a hard drive. Malibu Mystery wants the front and gets it, is up by a quick half length. Also hard sent was Bad Larry, did not have enough pace to keep up with this pace setter. It's Malibu Mystery who's a neck in front and now trying to cut into that margin is Bad Larry. They're 1-2. Moving forward is Majestic Arc and Romero Mirage. They're now in the 4 path and they're progressing and they've taken 3rd. So they've got 4 furlongs left to go. At the rail, that's Woodside Warrior who's trying to hold that position. Moving up on the outside of that one comes War Prince and takes 4th. Chalky Cat is progressing up on the outside, is in hand right now and is moving up. The trailer, that's Watch Hill. 23 seconds flat for that opening quarter mile. It was pressured, and Bad Larry has now reclaimed the front end. It's Bad Larry who's up by a half length. Back to second is Malibu Mystery. Majestic Arc is trying to rally on. Woodside Warrior is down there, and also War Prince now moves towards the outside. It's Bad Larry who's finding plenty, but Woodside Warrior is just split rivals and is coming after this leader now. Bad Larry is approaching the 16th pole, has a 2-length cushion, but it's shrinking. It's Bad Larry. Woodside Warrior trying to time it. Bad Larry is still finding enough. Bad Larry. Manny Franco gets another one. Bad Larry gets the victory over Woodside Warrior. Then came War Prince. Late run there on the outside from Watch Hill in a photo with Majestic Arc.
Bad Larry was good today as Manny Franco delivers the ride that put him in contention early, Sarah, and held off the late charge from Woodside Warrior.
And just enough contention with your pace setter Malibu Mystery without overdoing it and canceling himself out so that he didn't have enough horse for Woodside Warrior, who was making a move at him late. That was a good decision to be there, but not really sort of get himself into a duel, and just ended up being a horse that ended up being much the best as we kind of thought, but it was between the top 2 and it ended up being that way on the racetrack.
Yeah, and number 4 in here, War Prince, who Mig highlighted, thought he looked good. I think he rounds out the trifecta at 12-1. But the top 2 felt like a 2-horse race coming in, and it played out that way on the track as Manny Franco gets the win for trainer Mike Maker. And even though they weren't very close at the end. It was a son versus father thing here with 3 diamonds versus Jordan Wyckoff.
I guess so, right?
Son gets the win here. Jordan gets the win over Kirk, who does finish a well-beaten 4th with Watch Hill.
Yes, the other maker improved, I would say, from his first start, but not quite enough.
Well, this Manny Franco takes this one, but the Puerto Rican force that we've seen from the Ortiz brothers dominating the circuit, dominating the country when it comes to riding at the top level. We'll check in with Jose and Irad after this break.
Approaches the quarter pole, and it's Gunite trying to fend off Elite Power, who's motoring like a big chestnut tank on the outside, and Elite Power and Gunite, Elite Power got him right on the money in 109.22 seconds.
Herman, the classic sire.
On a perfect day, there is no finer place in all of sports.
Nerves, excitement, and anticipation.
Than beautiful, truly stunning. For the Breeders' Cup World Championships.
The world's premier breeding stock event, the November sale at Fasig-Tipton. A leader in the deep distaff division, Search Results won her first 3 career starts. Prior to a runner-up finish to champion Malathaat in the Grade 1 Kentucky Oaks, she captured this victory in the Grade 3 Gazelle. She came back to earn her first Grade 1 in the Acorn Stakes, besting top fillies Maracuja and Army Wife.
Search Results wins her Belmont debut.
A resilient and determined competitor, Search Results won graded stakes at ages 4 and again this year at 5, including the Grade 3 Locust Grove in September. A 7-time winner with career earnings of nearly $2 million, she has finished in the money in 15 of 16 career starts for owner Klarovich Stables and trainer Chad Brown. Out of a Candy Ride mare, Search Results page includes Canadian champion Kimchi and Grade 1 winner Mind Your Biscuits. Grade 1 winner, Search Results, selling this November with Elite Agent.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races. I am pleased to be joined by Manny Franco, who contributed another strong ride here on Bad Larry. And this horse was drawn outside today, Manny. How helpful is it with particularly lower level horses to have that good outside post position?
Well, when I saw the entries, when I saw the post position that he had today, I say he'd be tough because he's one of those horses that he hate the kickback. Kickback make him go back, and then he keep trying, but like I said, the kickback hated him. And today was a clean trip, clean face, and he did it.
Now, you rode him for the first time last time. How important is that when you get familiar with a horse, like when you learn something about him?
It's a big advantage, you know, and I have the chance to rode him last time, and I get to know him, and I know that he don't, when the kickback heading, I was in the one hole last time, broke on top, but then I can follow the pace in front. He shuffled back a bit, and then he just started going back, and then he came back. So that's what I knew, that he don't like the kickback. And with the post today, like I say, helped me a lot and get it done.
Manny, you're closing in on 200 wins for the year, and I like the way you ride, but what impresses me more is you continue to keep your energy level up. How difficult is it when you're riding so many races, because you ride strong every race?
I prepare myself every day. I'm trying to do my homeworks, and at the same time, I do exercise. I try to be in shape for any kind of horse, and that's what I'm doing. And just trying to keep doing what I'm doing, and thanks to all the training and the opportunity that they've been giving me since I get here, and my agent too.
Well, keep it up. You're doing a great job. And guys, I just get a kick out of watching them ride. I love riders that can finish on horses, and this is one of the best of the game at it.
He is truly an athlete and consistently wins the Trainers versus Jockeys basketball charity challenge for the chaplaincy up in Saratoga. Manny Franco, a key player on the court as well. Bad Larry Best, Woodside Warrior, and what resulted in a fairly chalky exacta. But, I mean, if you were lucky enough to have Strong Light included in that first leg of the pick six, well done, because you were able to get to the eventual second choice, Bad Larry. 4 more legs to come as we have nearly 200,000 in the pool coming up. Race number 6, a maiden special weight for the older horses going the 7 furlongs. And as you heard Jonathan Kinchin say earlier, to Silo Ridge or not to Silo Ridge, will you single him? Will you use some others? As Irad Ortiz will be aboard that heavy favorite as Irad looks for his 3rd win on this card. But talk about a brotherly duo who has been atop of the leaderboard. They have won 5 of the last 6 Eclipse Awards for Outstanding Jockey. They have won 22 Breeders' Cup races combined and 4 classics. But at the end of the day, while they are fierce competitors on the racetrack, there's a lot of brotherly love to go around.
Every single sport that we play, we compete. We play this game every day.
Who do you think is gonna be the winner there? We never face each other against each other. We never did.
Like now.
Like now, yeah. Energy de qué? Energy de qué? First of all, it's very fun to share your success with your brother. We spend together more than 15 hours a day.
We know how to manage business and life, real life, so that's pretty good. When we understand that, we have a line right there, it's perfect.
Despite how close the brothers are, sometimes their competitive nature lends itself to some tense moments.
We've been very heated moments. We curse a lot and say a lot about words in Spanish.
When we was younger, we never throw punches, but we've been so close.
Yeah. We don't talk about races before the race runs.
It's fun.
Ira is very quiet, like you cannot say nothing. It's like on his own, and
I don't want to know anything about his thing.
Yeah, it's very fun when you can outsmart the competition. I have to think how he thinks to try to beat him. It's very hard to a rider like Ira try to read his mind before he does it because he's so unpredictable. He's one of the best, and I think he has made me better.
Sometimes I come out and say, why you will do different if you ride the race again? He say, nothing. I say, are you sure? Because I have another mind. I see something different that probably he don't see. He like, the same thing happened to me.
While the brothers push each other to be better riders on the track, Arad credits Jose with making him the man he wants to be away from it.
He used to be too on the muscle, like too keen, and I tell him he need to calm down and think before he do things and say things. He start winning like crazy and start winning all the Eclipse Awards. And I told him, just my job is to keep you grounded and keep you doing the right thing.
As a person, I think he made me better. He's so good at some things that I'm not. So I try to get whatever I can get of him to make me better in that part of the racetrack.
He's been working, so he's been doing a lot better. Become a better person, a better father, better son, and everything. So it's nice to see that.
Always gonna have him. He's my brother, he's my blood. I love him.
And Jose and Irad are so much fun to watch out on the racetrack. They also share an agent now with Steve Rushing, one of the top jocks agents that we've seen in the country for decades now. And it's fun to get a little glimpse into behind the scenes as to how their personalities kind of feed off of each other and help each other at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course. And we know that they are close to each other and they both have that competitive nature, but they're both also looking out for each other on a personal level, making sure that anytime one of them has an incident, they're right there for each other. But they both want to win. They both are hungry for those victories. And Jose Ortiz just had a great winning weekend over at Keeneland last week. Irad's always riding at the top of his game, and we'll see both of them go head-to-head in here. And what's a fun race?
Yeah, as Irad will be riding for Bill Mott, Lee Einseidler as well. Wonder if Lee's alive in the pick six, and Jose will be aboard one for Chad Brown. Opportunity set on the outside, as we will get more into this race, which kicks off the late pick four. It's Belmont at the Big A on America's Day at the Races.
There are more than 3,500 reasons buyers came to Keeneland November last year. Because as you look to the future, this is where you'll find whatever you're looking for. And then some. And then some more. The place you have to be to find the one you have to have. Join us as the world comes to Keeneland, November 8th through the 16th. Browse the catalog at november.keeneland.com.
We watched his career, you know, the speed he had was tremendous. So we bought 2 or 3, underbidder on several. Really nice volatile colt in his last sale that I think maybe $600,000. Beautiful colt.
Tom, $600,000. Thank you very much and good luck.
Perfect sire for 2-year-old sales, and so we'll be bidding against some of our peers, no doubt. So we're looking forward to it. We like a little competition, you know, it's fun.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
You know, the first time I came to the farm, I just found it a magical place, like something I've never seen before. I was invited to come see it a few times, and finally I relented. And I thought, I've seen lots of farms, nice farms, average farms, and it was like, I don't know, just so enchanting when I came in the gates. The The stallion barn was built in stone, and it really had to fit sort of the landscape and our stallion barn, which was stone as well. So everything's dry laid, tried to be as natural as we could, and enhance the landscape and show a commitment and to that of not only preservation but also enhancement of the place. Everything we've done is sort of as a multifaceted approach. Look at it from a sense of stewardship, that somebody built a magnificent place and that there was disrepair. There are a lot of things that need to be done. The crafts to put them back together are hard to find. We're able to find those trades and people that respected sort of a hands-on approach. So, that was really a primary goal, to restore all of the buildings back to their originality. It was a sort of full-on commitment to make this place, I wouldn't say a place of grandeur, but just to make it like somebody lives on every inch of it. Really tried to have the authenticity as well as, the modernity of today, so that we could have an operation that has function and internet and all of those things. So just a blend of all of it.
If that does not make you want to check out Alapa, then I don't know what will, as Hillendale now at Alapa Farm, where the obscure becomes obvious, and John Secura talking about the renovations that they put forth into Alapa Farm to restore it to its grandeur and beauty, as we take a look at horses in the paddock for today's 6th race. Late pick 4 kicks off here. We do have a heavy favorite, 6-5 on Silo Ridge, as we check in with Richie.
Yeah, thanks, Maggie. And I honestly can't think of a better steward of that historic property than John Secura, and understanding the historical importance and the aesthetic beauty of the place. If this TV thing doesn't work out, I told you I want to be a groom there. We'll start with your favorite, the 4, Silo Ridge. He looks fantastic. My gosh, he's just turned out as well as any horse I've seen this year. I mean, he just could not look any better in the coat, the weight he's carrying. He just looks like he's got a terrific mind on him. A horse making his 3rd start. Sometimes you see them, react a little bit negatively to the stress of racing. This guy just looks like a very laid-back, cool individual. And horses not only have to have physical ability, they also have the right mind, the right mentality to maximize that ability. He's checking all the boxes on every level, and especially coming off of a huge race with a huge figure. The 5, Light the Way. I think this horse has really grown up a lot. I thought he made a big move forward. Well, he obviously made a big move forward from his 1st start to his 2nd start. He looks very fit. I like that he's had a series of 5 furlong workouts. He's out of that mare, By the Light, who has just been a tremendous producer. She was a terrific race mare for Samantha Siegel and has turned into a tremendous brood mare. And I think this horse could take another step forward here. And then the 6, Phelpsy. Boy, this horse has got some hind end on him, and you expect a Chad Brown horse to be well turned out. This horse is extremely well turned out. I like him turning back to a 1-turn race. He has had at times not broken particularly well. It's a little bit hard to believe because, man, look at how strong he is behind. You think he'd push off properly. I don't know, maybe he's a horse that gets a little bit anxious in the gate, but boy, he looks good, and I like the turn back for him.
Meg, let's take a look at how poor he can break. Number 6, Phelpsy. Last saw him at Monmouth, where he was beaten by his stablemate, leading contender. But look, he's going to break 4 lengths slow here, Sarah. First start with blinkers on from that rail. And then what you're not going to see is him running off beneath Joel Rosario. I mean, he'll start this kind of running off as they go around the turn, and he'll be in front by the time they hit the backside, as you see them here rounding the 2nd turn. At the end of the day, he runs very well, considering he probably went 22 and change for that first quarter, as opposed to 23 and 1 like everyone else. So yeah, the turn back makes sense. The blinkers coming off makes sense after that behavior in that race. It's just really get out of the gate?
And that's a fair question. And now, thankfully, he doesn't draw the rail. At least he's a little bit further towards the outside. But you never want to see that from a horse that's had several starts already. And while that was his best Beyer speed figure of a 79, finishing second, and likely his best effort given the trouble that he had to overcome, not getting out of the gate and being behind the 8 ball already doesn't help.
The biggest oddity on the card, holding a pair at 5-1.
We'll talk about this horse and the money he's taking in a moment because it's very strange.
Number 2, Flying Liam ships in from Monmouth.
A horse that is lightly raced, only making his second start, might have to get a little bit faster to contend with some of your shorter prices.
Coming in from the West Coast is Burton Way for David Jacobson as you check out your even money favorite in Silo Ridge.
Just a horse that makes so much sense based on his last race. We saw Digitize come back to win as well, probably just second best that day.
JMS owned and bred Justify Colt Light the Way.
And comes in off a layoff, has that big pedigree just like Richie mentioned, and could take a step forward.
Phelpsy, will he like the turn back?
Hopefully just gets out of the gate because the ability is there and he can be quick too.
Here's the other Michelle Nevin horse, login required for start for the barn.
And this one's only gone the 6 furlongs, will stretch out to the 7 off the bench, but showed some good form as a 2-year-old.
Here's the one I don't know if you can trust. Number 8, Opportunity Set.
Has some races that could make this horse competitive here, but also has some races that wouldn't make this horse a player whatsoever. What are we going to get from him today? He is a big, big price if you like him.
That's right, at 13-1 currently. If you want to play this race, maybe you feel like a try. Well, you can earn a 10% trifecta bonus when you opt in at NYRABets.com on all of the races here from Belmont at the Big A. Well, it's a little bit of an odd looking board when you look at the horses who bookend the field, but no doubt about it, with number 4 in here, Silo Ridge, getting a nice warm up here beneath Arad Ortiz. And Jonathan, you never actually answered your own question. Did you single Silo Ridge or not?
Maggie, it's called television, right? You know, you do this thing where you kind of get people interested. They stick around. It's like a tease. It's like, 60 minutes, don't eat bread anymore after the break. It's one of those deals. So I am going to Silo Ridge here. I think Silo Ridge exits the most, one of a very accomplished race, right? A lot of horses have come back out and won. 4, I believe, have won out of that last race. But not only have they won, they've actually run faster speed figures. So the fact that this horse has a figure edge against this group, you can trust that number, in my opinion, based on the fact that, some other horses have run out of that race and run well. And so, look, I like Silo Ridge. I guess if there's a horse in here that could beat him, would be the 6 Phelpsy, who ran extremely well last time. And it's funny because with Phelpsy, you can watch the last race and say, wow, that was impressive. He completely missed the break and still almost won with a nice figure. And then you can say to yourself, oh, well, if he breaks well, then he's supposed to run better. But if you look back through his races, in his last 3 starts, he's broke poorly. So is it a habit? Is he going to break poorly again? Because if he breaks poorly here, he's not beating the 4 Silo Ridge. If he breaks well, obviously there could be a little bit of competition. But, man, he's done it 3 times in a row. I'm starting not to trust him. And from what I understand, the 1 holding all pair, this is a horse that someone just bet a big win bet on this horse early, before all the money came in. I would think that 7-1 is going to continue to climb in the double will pays. Still the longest shot on the board.
Yeah, JK, you're exactly right. And sometimes, Sarah, as we were discussing, sometimes people bet that big win bet, and then whether it was by mistake or by design, they then cancel it. So
right,
he can jump up and triple that odds now. He's 8-1.
We're seeing an odd board because of that situation, and something that David Aragona pointed out on Twitter, our morning line maker. This is an ownership group that has done this in the past with some of their horses. They like to bet their horses. They did have a situation where they bet a horse, Son of an X, who then did win, but that, as he pointed out, was a much different type of race and a different type of field without the types of contenders that we see in here. So holding au pair would certainly surprise me, but some might look at that money and say, oh, well, this horse is taking a ton of play. Maybe I have to get involved. But Jonathan brings up a good point. This horse, in all multi multis, still the longest shot on the board.
Yeah, from a New York bred maiden claimer on the turf to a open maiden special weight, going 7 furlongs on the main track. But one that's accustomed to this condition is Silo Ridge, as we'll check out his last performance, going to 7/8 up at Saratoga back on August 20th. And you want to talk about a live field, Sarah? This race featured 3 next time out winners, and even the horse that finished 5th, while he didn't win his next start, he would win the second start after that and post an 87 buyer.
So you know that he's been keeping good company in his last start, and that was a big improvement from his first start to his second, going from a 67 to an 88 buyer speed figure. The winner, Digitize, a horse for Chad Brown that was coming in off a break. He came back and won that off the turf race and improved to a 94 buyer speed figure. So this is just a horse that's had less opportunities to disappoint, comes in out of a race that's produced a lot of next out winners and horses that continue to improve out of there. And that's part of why you're seeing this price right now, as well as Irad Ortiz Jr. being aboard.
And Mig, Silo Ridge looks like he could be the speed, but there's also some other horses sniffing at that early lead. Did you think he was a clear-cut early leader in here?
I do think that he'll have company. Listen, I have no false illusions. I think Silo Ridge is going to be extremely tough to beat, as the board, would indicate, and he looks fantastic. He couldn't be better turned out. I'm going to go with the 6, Phelpsy, maybe against my better judgment. When I was looking at Phelpsy and just how strong he is and the turn back to 7/8, yes, I'm concerned about the break, but as strong as he looks behind, I'm just hoping that he gets away cleanly and he can set up a decent trip. And, turning back to 7/8, I think he'll probably be lurking from off the pace. And I feel fairly strongly now watching the first 5 races that when you make your run, you want to be 3 or 4 paths out from the rail. It just feels like, even if you look at the last race, Woodside Warrior was kind of toiling down inside, running in place. And when he finally got to the clear, he made this big run. So, it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out.
Oh, Jonathan talking about TV. Well, this is a big one.
You wanted to stick around for this.
Yeah. Big scratch here of the 4, Silo Ridge. As Meg was just talking, you and I had seen that the vet was taking a look at Silo Ridge, as he will be a late scratch here and a big defection from this race and this pick 6 sequence.
Right, and now you'll end up with your post-time favorite, who's going to end up being the number 6 Phelpsy. But of course, we want all players involved to have the most fair opportunity to succeed. So always good to err on the side of caution in these situations, but this is a big late scratch out of this race, a horse that many likely leaned on within this sequence, and that many thought was going to be the winner of this race.
And give it a second, there we go. It's like there's no way the 6 could be 7-2. There we go, 7-5 on Phelpsy. And I mean, we always we put safety as our primary concern here, and always want horse and rider to be safe. So Silo Ridge will not participate today, and Phelpsy will wind up as your post-time favorite. As we were talking about the pace just before we saw the scratch, and does that now, Sarah, fall into the hands of Light the Way and Jose Gomez?
It could, especially if we're seeing a horse in Phelpsy who doesn't get out of the gate all that cleanly. This could easily be a rider's race for the taking with somebody else that has shown some early interest in the past to try to get that jump start ahead of him. Something with Phelpsy I did want to mention quickly. Brown, blinkers coming off with maidens. He is 8 for 21 over the past 5 years. He has a really good number in this situation. They tinkered with putting them on, quickly realized that did not work out, then decided immediately to take them off. So perhaps that could help him be a little bit less keen early on if he doesn't get out of the gate all that quickly. It's going to be interesting to see what develops early on in here now with your favorite coming out.
Yeah, just giving Manny Franco maybe a little bit of an easier time, you would think. And Manny Franco teaming up with Chad Brown with a lot of success, as Chad is the leading trainer at the meet thus far. As far as the pace scenario goes, I'm wondering what they do with number 3 in here, Burton Way, because so often we see horses coming in from California. They're just they're just faster than our horses here. Usually the races are run in a quicker fashion, and last time was wired by Storm the Night at Del Mar and kind of was in chase mode there. Now, there's nothing necessarily on form that suggests he'll be more forward, but just so often we see them have more speed here on the East Coast where races are just run slower.
Right, exactly. California speed on turf and dirt is usually just so much faster than what we have on that East Coast. So that's a good point that you bring up, that even though he might not be on paper that type of pace player, he could just be faster early than the rest of this field.
All right, they are loading in the gate. Big scratch here of Silo Ridge. Phelpsy. You a Michael Phelps fan?
No, nothing against him, but not a big swimming person in general.
I mean, I didn't like have a crush on him or anything, don't get me wrong, but I was
Sure.
absolutely certain about that. But such a rooting interest because he's from Maryland and he trained up around Towson, where I used to live.
There you go.
As they head into line race number 6, kicking off the late pick 4, Chris Griffin has your call.
Is in. All set. And they're off. Speed from in between horses, Light the Way right out to the front. It's Light the Way who's got that early lead and will cross over here and assumes command. Then comes Phelpsy, and Phelpsy is alongside, and now Phelpsy will take the front. It's Phelpsy who's a neck in front of Light the Way, who will take back to second. They work up the back stretch. Just off of them is going to be Login Required, who's tracking in third. A tight hold here on Flying Liam is bottled up in between horses, and tightly at the rail there is Burton Way with Castillo. Up on the far outside, well in the clear, is Opportunity Set. Opportunity Set is now 4 wide as they get set to move into that far turn. Less than 4 furlongs to travel, and far back is the trailer, holding Au Pair. Phelpsy's got the lead. It's Phelpsy. They went 23 seconds flat for the opening quarter mile, and Phelpsy is up by that full length. Login Required is making up some ground here from second. Losing ground a touch was Light the Way. Opportunity Set is progressing to the outside of Flying Liam, who's in between horses still. And also moving to the outside is Burton Way, still the trailer, holding Au Pair. Phelpsy has not been touched yet, and now Phelpsy is opening up here in the final furlong. Phelpsy is quickly up by 3, 4 widening lengths, and Phelpsy is just striding away. The battle's on for second here. Login Required will grab second. Late run here from Burton Way from the back, but it is all Phelpsy. Phelpsy goes off as your even money favorite, and Phelpsy gets an easy win. Login Required for second, then Light the Way, and Burton Way in 1 minute 23 and 2.
Phelpsy, not much splashing around today as the track's drying out, but he gets the win quite easily. Still didn't break well, Sarah, but Manny Franco said, I'm not taking any prisoners here.
No, he was off a little bit slow again today, but he was hustled up into contention, and you see that he's already on the lead at this point and just ended up being the best horse in this race because really nobody else was super intent on being a factor early, and we did see the 2 layoff runners for Michelle Nevin show a good effort first off the bench, running second and third in here. But if you played that pick 6 and you had singled Silo Ridge, you're happy that you got your post-time favorite home.
Yeah, at even money, over 11-1, Login Required, Light the Way, settled for third. Both Michelle Nevin runners and Burton Way rounding out the superfecta. Phelpsy graduates here. Manny Franco for the meet's leading trainer, Chad Brown. And this one going for Bill Lawrence and Jeff Drown and 3 Colleen Stable. I think that's... I don't know, my form cuts off, so my apologies. But blinkers coming off today, a little easier to handle when you don't have anybody else in front of you. Phelpsy gets the win, covering the 7 furlongs in 1:23 and 2, graduating in start number 6. Manny also getting his 3rd win on today's card, but we are getting closer and closer to my favorite time of year, the Breeders' Cup World Championships, as we have been following one of the likely favorites for the Breeders' Cup Classic, Arcangelo, quite closely, along with his connections. A bit more on him coming up after the break.
has always been my dream, to ride great horses like Life is Good. He broke like a rocket from the gate. His acceleration, pure speed whenever I ask him. That explosive kick to the finish. Man, Life is Good.
Adelphi Racing Club, offering a truly personal thoroughbred ownership experience.
You'll have a lot of fun and excitement, and you'll meet some great people. All the folks I've met so far at Adelphi have just been super, and I've picked up some new friendships along the way.
We're not just a syndicate, and our members aren't just investors, we are partners. Contact us online to get a taste of the Adelphi difference.
Thanks for tuning in to the program. It's America's Day at the Races here on FS2, and we are brought to you by Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Phelpsy graduates here in start number 6 for Chad Brown and Manny Franco, and easily does so with the late defection of the heavy favorite Silo Ridge, as Manny gets his 3rd win on the day, and it ends up being 6-7-5-3. And our very own Richard Migliore is standing by with the trainer of Phelpsy.
Yeah, thanks, Maggie. Chad, little repartee here with Kendrick. Phelpsy, horse that's shown ability.
Oh, yeah? No problem. I'll get you next time, too.
Well, all the riders want to talk to Chad.
Take shots at me. You know how it is, Rich. They want to take shots at me.
You know, if I was riding, I'd want to talk to Chad, too. Chad Phelpsy, a horse that's been a little bit difficult breaking, had a couple starts where he broke slow. Broke a step slow today, but was hustled up. Is that something that he'll get better at? Is it something you can fix, or is some horses that's just the way they are?
You'd hope that. I mean, he seems like a pretty sound horse. Manny did say, hey, he ran great, but we got to get him breaking a little better. We had blinkers on him last start, and he was trying to run off with him. So I took him off. I was hoping that helped him break better. But nevertheless, Manny used good judgment to use up the horse a little bit to get position. And from there on out, he had an easy go of it.
You know, he's such a big, powerfully built son of Into Mischief. You would think, like, as far as his hind end pushing off, he couldn't look any stronger.
No, he's a well-made horse, obviously really well-bred horse. He's been a bit disappointing because we had high hopes for him given his pedigree and his big price and all, and his fantastic looks. But hopefully this is a nice confidence builder for the horse, and I think we finally figured out his equipment and sort of what he wants to do. If we can get him breaking a little bit better, maybe he'll be able to go through his conditions now.
Chad, you have horses in Saratoga, horse at Belmont, horse at Monmouth. You've put together another tremendous year. How difficult is it, though? Like, all of the horses and the travel, and you got to keep track of, like, how do you keep your energy level up?
That's a good. Well, we have great staff and partners. So as you see, you know, with my barn, you'll see different faces here representing us, and a lot of these team members are really talented and follow the direction from me, and they've been doing a fantastic job all year, and I'm just lucky enough to work with all of them, really.
I think they're lucky enough to work with you as well. He's got good help, but they've got a good captain as well.
It's all about the team that you assemble, and Dan Stupp, Chad's assistant here at Belmont, I should say, does a tremendous job throughout the winter. And as Chad always says, he's got his winter warriors, and he often leaves some nice horses, whether it be, you know, horses on the Triple Crown Trail, on the Kentucky Oaks Trail, always leaves some nice horses here throughout the winter for us to follow along with.
He does. We had early voting a couple years ago, who ended up going on to win the Preakness, and just having the teamwork and the staff available to help you have those operations at all those different racetracks really contributes to his success, and that's something that he's clearly well aware of.
And Chad will be, as always, well represented in this year's Breeders' Cup, including the Classic with Zandon. As you check out our Pick 6 carryover, follow along there. Phelpsy, the chalkiest and shortest price of them so far. Race number 7 coming up off the turf event, going a 1-turn mile for the New York breds, and being left in the body of the race, Straight Arrow, who looked competitive on either surface for Mike Deeney. Jairo Rendon will be in the irons, and 2-1 on Let's Go Big Blue, an unknown commodity when it comes to racing on the main track. Well, as I mentioned, Chad will be represented by Zandon, but standing in his way, a 3-year-old by the name of Arcangelo. And if you're a good horse, you always need a buddy, right? Well, his buddy is Basha, a former racehorse himself. We'll learn more about Jenna Antonucci's stable pony after this break.
Catholic Boy, a Grade 1 winner on both dirt and turf, including this romp in the Run Happy Travers Stakes.
He's so impressive today, the others didn't even have a prayer!
This 6-time graded stakes winner was the fastest 3-year-old of his crop over 10 furlongs. Now his first runners are hitting the track. Dual surface Grade 1 winner Catholic Boy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
Maximum Security proves he's the real deal with a gate-to-wire win in the Florida Derby.
Champion 3-year-old.
Maximum Security has won the TVG.com Haskell Invitational.
11 triple-digit bias.
Maximum Security, he smoked them in the Cigar Mile.
Grade 1 winning 4-year-old.
Maximum Security takes them all the way in the TVG Pacific Classic.
Maximum Security.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program. When shopping for your next race prospect, consider that New York breds start with an advantage. Our New York breds run for serious green. At Saratoga Race Meet, New York bred maidens run for up to $88,000. New York bred allowance horses run for up to $100,000. And New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race. So get back with the program. Seriously.
Let's face it, we all love ponies, but what is a pony at the racetrack? It's essential to a safe and functioning racetrack or training operation, and get this, it can really be any kind of horse. They're the coaches, the security blanket for the horses in training. So let's meet the ponies of Saratoga. If you spot Belmont winner Arcangelo training in the morning, there's a good chance that you'll also see Basha. A hard-knocking gelding with 3 wins from 37 career starts, Basha raced for 6 years before becoming the stable pony for Jenna Antonucci. He quickly landed an important role as the sidekick and mentor of Arcangelo.
I think he's just that elder statesman that has been able to been there, done that, and the owner of Arcangelo asked that wherever Arcangelo goes, Basha goes, because they just have a really cool bond when they're out there, and it's really allowed Arcangelo to take a breath with everything going on around him and taking in the sights where he's got a sidekick kind of everywhere he goes.
Well, he's basically the babysitter. He looks after the kids. He's the old man. He knows his job. He, educates them, take them to the gate. It's good to have a pony with them.
Farm life wasn't for him. He didn't want to be the couch potato guy with a part-time job. He really thrives in this environment of a full-time job. He's a city guy.
The first day he started, I think something jumped up in the back and he literally stood there and was like, whatever. So we knew right from then that he would be just fine. He's been on the track so long, he loves the track. He's a brilliant pony. And when the horse is being a little naughty, playing, I need Basha to just be stable and just be still. And he's pretty good at that. But he's a good boy. I mean, he's still learning, but he's pretty clever.
Love that. Basha, good-looking dude himself. He's also stakes placed. So he was an accomplished racehorse in his own right. And it's true. I've had horses, Sarah, that you take off the track that you think are going to be, great riding horses, and they just fall to pieces. They can't handle not being at the racetrack. And it's good to see Basha having such a crucial role in the development of Arcangelo as well.
Yeah, and kind of like us, right? A horse that if you took him away from the track, he wouldn't really know what to do with himself and would just get bored, as we're all here all the time and don't know where we'd be without racing. But Arcangelo and the success that he's had so far, really paying homage to his sort of babysitter, his mentor on the track in a way. And again, just the time that Jenna Antonucci has been able to provide all of us with and the insight to Arcangelo has just been fantastic. So always grateful to her for doing so.
Yeah, Jenna, at the end of the day, is insanely smart and well-spoken, and I couldn't think of a better spokesperson in her role as she has right now, sending out the likely favorite, if not one of the favorites in this year's Breeders' Cup Classic, coming off the heels of wins in the Belmont and the Travers. And he actually posted his second work at Santa Anita today, Sarah, as we'll take a look at this 5-furlong move going in a minute flat.
He seems like he's acclimating well to the Santa Anita track, as you mentioned, this being his second workout over the surface, and just really been able to take everything in, have a little bit more of a serious movement today, a nice 5-furlong work. Did you see anything different from this workout, or anything that would really impress you or leave you with a good feeling going into that Breeders' Cup Classic?
He was definitely far more clued in, especially going to the pole. I mean, he was ripping his exercise rider Robert's hands out going to the pole. So a lot more clued in, I think, in this work versus the first one that we saw from him last week. Now, he was asked a bit. I still think he's a horse that's acclimating possibly to the surface. You watch those workouts leading up to the Travers, and he was just kind of gliding over the Saratoga strip. And I think it's gonna, I think it's a really smart move that Jenna took him out there so early, so he really gets to adjust to the different surface out there at Santa Anita. But this was definitely a move forward in his second breeze over the surface.
Good to hear. That's what you want to hear, right? And I'm sure she's pleased with the effort, and that she's paying such close attention to how he's doing out there, and going back and forth to spend time with him as well as her other horses throughout the U.S.
And Jenna reporting via a tweet that he came back well from that morning work and that he was very pleased with himself. Mig, were you pleased with this move from Arcangelo?
I really thought this was a sensational work from him. His first work out there at Santa Anita, I would have, not rated it very high. I would have given it a C or a C minus. He just was looking around. He looked very moony. His head carriage was different. It was more up in the air. This time, he was coiled up going to the pole. His head was bowed. Like you said, he was really had a big hold of the exercise rider. And then he skipped along the track, and then his gallop out was sensational. This work was an absolute A. I think it really signified that he has settled in well to Santa Anita, gets over the surface well, and I agree with you. I think it was the right move. Jenna made the call, bring him out there early and prepare him for the Breeders' Cup out there. Really solid work. Now let's get to race 7 here. We're off the turf, going a mile, and The horse taking all the money right now is the 5 Straight Arrow, who was decidedly best last time on the turf, just endured a nightmarish trip. But his dirt form is very good too. Son of Arrogate, you know, I was talking with his conditioner when he ran in Saratoga, Mike Deeney, and he could be a bit tricky. He was a little bit difficult, but he was maturing, and he's certainly a major player here. I prefer 2 horses towards the outside, starting with the 11, Cut the Cord. I think he's tactical. He was entered specifically to run if this race came off the turf. I think you've always got to upgrade horses like that. He's being a little bit of a handful right now in the saddling stalls, but he could not look any sharper. Looks terrific, as does the 13, Shadow Dragon, who, again, another horse entered specifically to run if the race came off turf. These are the 2 that I really like in the paddock. They're standouts to me here in the paddock. Obviously, I'll watch them on the track and continue to monitor what I see, because sometimes what you see in the paddock completely changes what's on the racetrack. But these 2 horses are really making a solid impression here.
Yeah, Megan, big prices as of now on horses that were entered to run on the dirt. Cut the Cord, always a little bit hot when it comes to the preliminaries, so that's pretty typical for him, as I think he could have a big say in this off the turf 7th race, as we will take a break here on America's Day at the Races, but much more on this race to come.
Cyberknife was a very talented horse from day one. Fast horse, able to carry it around 2 turns. Looks a tremendous amount like Gunrunner, same ability and talent. Holds the track record in the Haskell. He won it in impressive fashion, beating a very good group of horses.
His name is Cyberknife!
Excited about him passing on his durability, his soundness, and his talent. He could definitely be a breed-shaping stallion.
When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With Twin Spires, you can place your bets with confidence. Whether you use handicapping insights, like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with Twin Spires. Start earning your $200 sign-up bonus when you sign up with offer code GET200.
Thanks for joining us here on America's Day at the Races, as we have live racing coverage from Belmont at the Big A. We see a racetrack that is muddy and sealed off the turf for today, and therefore off the turf in this 7th. We'll kick things off, though, with number 5, Straight Arrow, a serious contender on either surface, Sarah.
Yeah, absolutely. His dirt races would really, really make him a huge player in here.
Number 6, Let's Go Big Blue, accomplished on the turf, but this will be his first dirt start.
And taking a lot of money right now for something he's never done before, though he does have a half-sibling, Pinehurst, that was successful on this surface.
Here is number 11, Cut the Cord, Kendrick Carmouche, aboard for Jeremiah Englehart.
Second last time out, a very consistent type, and just has been running races over his last 3 starts that really there's nothing wrong.
Callaloo comes off the back of a win, graduating from that A other than.
And he had needed a start off the layup, but really improved last time to get the win, now facing a little bit tougher.
Wired last time as the favorite. Here's number 13, Shadow Dragon.
A horse that's very accomplished on this surface, but just likely to be pace compromised in this scenario.
And we will see Dylan Davis pick up Big Bobby, second off the claim for Marcelo Arenas.
A horse that used to be in the Bill Mott barn, now going out for a different trainer. Dylan Davis riding very well right now. Just had that 4-win day the other day.
Oh, yeah, that is right. Dylan riding very well, as we'll check in with Jonathan Kinchin for his thoughts here on this off-the-turf event.
Yeah, guys, I actually thought the price of the 5 and the 12 would be flopped a little bit. I mean, I picked the 5, but I think at this situation, the 12 might actually be a better opportunity. So if you're listening in the truck, can you switch my pick to the 12? Look, the 5 straight arrow I'll start with. This horse looked pretty good in his last 2 starts on the dirt back in August and at Saratoga. And those were going 7 furlongs, but he did it in a way where it feels like he'll appreciate a little bit of added ground. Thanks for switching that pick for me. Sorry, Sarah, you still have the 5, but I'm sure you could tell someone to change too. Look, I just didn't expect this horse to take this much money, but I do think the 5 is extremely live in here and has a chance to win. But the 12, Callaloo, who I'm getting a much better price on, I thought this horse ran extremely well last time. I like in these types of races, these mild dirt races that are kind of off the turf races where you get, it's a little bit messy. I like a horse that can be forward, a horse that's shown some ability on the front end, and I have no problem with Callaloo stretching out. And I kind of like the draw for the 12 as well towards the outside. I kind of like to be in the clear on a racetrack listed as muddy. Richie can elaborate on it, but sometimes it always feels like the kickback's a little bit more intense. So thanks for that audible there. What is that? Omaha. Give me the 12 instead of the 5.
Yeah, listen, guys, I'm kind of on board with all of you here. I just think the horses that were entered for main track only are the ones I'm interested in. They're well posted, starting with the 11, Cut the Cord. He's going to be my top selection. I think he's tactical. He's also versatile. I think he sits a good trip, and he's got races good enough to win here. Callaloo also making a nice impression. I agree with a lot with what Jonathan's saying. I think 7-1's too big a price on him. And the 13, Shadow Dragon, makes a lot of sense. He looks terrific. Physically, he certainly really good in the on paper as well. Now he's gone to favoritism at this point. I was a little surprised that the 6 Let's Go Big Blue is taking as much money as is. I'm a fan. I like the horse. He's consistent, hard knocking, but he's running on a surface he's never run on before. So I'm going to stick with the horses that were entered specifically to race if the race came off the turf. And my top selection out of those will be number 11, Cut the Cord.
All right, Cut the Cord for Mig. And Sarah, Cut the Cord certainly has the credentials to get the win here. He got the win 2 back in an off-the-turf mile race up at Saratoga. And it could be the same scenario here, and his 2 scheduled dirt races as of late on either side of that are very good, where last time out he was beaten by Looking at Roses, who would come back and get the win too.
And even if you go back to his race 3 back, he was second in a claiming race for the $20,000 tag behind Dust Devil, and that's when Dust Devil was in seriously good form, so perhaps one of your tougher races for that level. Now, he's just been the mark of consistency so far, and you can see him rallying from off the pace here to end up just missing to Looking at Roses, but he's one that the price right now just doesn't make a ton of sense, so I understand being a little bit more attracted to a horse that was entered for these conditions who is a higher price.
Yeah. Well, it just seems strange to me that the 11 and 12 are such big prices in here, right?
Right. I will say the Straight Arrow is supposed to be the 3rd choice, at least in doubles and in the pick 3. And you see favoritism right now on Shadow Dragon, who does make a little bit more sense as your favorite. But a lot of money still going towards Straight Arrow and Let's Go Big Blue. And for Let's Go Big Blue, he's never been on this surface before.
I feel like people just can't get enough of Shadow Dragon, who does have fast races, but at the end of the day, he often doesn't quite get the job done. And as you mentioned before, he's pace dependent, as we'll see here. Now, I do think that Jose Ortiz did a great job of getting a little bit more forward type of position here, but he was wired by Aggregation, who went gate to wire with the blinkers going on for the first time.
Right, and you know that he's a horse that's going to be coming from off the pace, and there are horses that will be more forwardly placed than him that do have a chance to win. So I wouldn't want to take 9 to 5 on a horse that's going to be already behind horses that I like a little bit more that will be ahead of him. Now, maybe you can forgive that effort 2 back where he didn't really show up as well as the favorite against Olympic Dreams and Unoho, who are horses that were both running pretty good races in that spot, and Olympic Dreams was in good form at that time. So he's another one. He's consistent at this type of level, but he's just against it in terms of dynamics.
What do you think Shadow Dragon's named for? You're looking at me like I'm a psychopath. Anyway.
Oh, I was like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Drive. That's not it. So
that's what I kind of think of too when I hear it.
I don't know. I wonder.
And then there's like Callaloo. I mean, what? I'd love to know the reasoning and ways that people have. I mean, obviously some are quite straightforward.
Like Let's Go Big Blue.
Right. Owned by Bill Parcells of August Dawn Farm. So
he makes sense.
That one I got. The other one's not so much. As they are heading into line for this off the turf 7th race here, contested over a mile. 9 to 5 on that horse right there. Shadow Dragon. Will he finally break through as the favorite? We head up to Chris Griffin with the call.
Is in. All set. And they're off. Broken and even line. At the rail there is the gray. That's Straight Arrow right out to the front. In between horses comes Let's Go Big Blue. Up on the outside there's Callaloo. He's traveling with Shadow Dragon. It's Callaloo and Shadow Dragon. They're now 1-2 with Straight Arrow. He's going to be at the rail here as they come out of the chute. That's the leading trio. Just off of them under that tight hold there is Let's Go Big Blue's been shuffled back to the tail end of the field, only 2.5 off the leaders. As moving forward there is Big Bobby, and now they shuffle around again and Cut the Cord is at the back. 23-4 for that easy opening quarter here. To the inside it's Callaloo at 7-1. To the outside it's Shadow Dragon applying the pressure. Big Bobby is progressing out in the center of the racetrack in third, and there's the gray. Straight Arrow and Rendon, they're on the move in at the rail. Let's Go Big Blue is in between horses looking for a spot. The trailer is Cut the Cord. Less than 4 furlongs to travel, 47-1. That half-mile time, and they turn up the pressure up front. Callaloo is still ahead in front, and here comes the run from Shadow Dragon, and Shadow Dragon is looming up on the outside. Straight Arrow as the gray is right in behind rivals, looks to have run. Now tips into the 3-path, and here comes Straight Arrow from the back. Let's Go Big Blue is trying to rally on at the rail. Also out wider, Big Bobby. They reach the top of the stretch, and Shadow Dragon has taken the lead, but here comes Straight Arrow, immediately pounces on the leader, and now Straight Arrow is out in the center of the racetrack, and the big gray Straight Arrow is now striding away for a final furlong. Straight Arrow is just opening up here now. 5-6 widening lengths. It is all Straight Arrow to get the victory. Straight Arrow wins it. Then came Shadow Dragon, Callaloo, and a late run from Cut the Cord in 1:35.4.
I think an important lesson, Sarah, was demonstrated with this race, and that leaving horses in on a surface they're accomplished on is a good idea. And one for JK, always trust your first instinct.
I guess so. Well, I thought the important lesson was going to be to me to be more patient with the ride, because I was
we were both not happy with Jairo Rendon early, because this is not exactly how we thought he would win. But he won very convincingly.
He did, and it ended up being the right move to be more patient and sit just off the pace, because once he got clear, I mean, Straight Arrow just drew away from this field, and I think Jose Ortiz did everything that he possibly could with Shadow Dragon, sensing that nobody wanted to be a part of the early pace and keeping this horse close up, able to get second. But there's no way that he would have been able to close from the back of the pack with those fractions.
In all honesty, I think Jose gave probably the best ride in this group. I just think he was beaten by a horse that was better and probably better on this kind of wetter surface too. I wonder if Shadow Dragon didn't necessarily love it as much, but no doubt about it, winner 5-2 on Straight Arrow, getting the win for Mike Deeney, Jairo Rendon, who has been riding all over the place. See him all up and down the East Coast, and riding here too gets the win over favored Shadow Dragon. Callaloo, your pace setter, will settle for third.
And I think we also learned that Let's Go Big Blue is not a dirt horse.
Yes, I think there was I didn't understand the reasoning because they never ran him on the turf or dirt, and they never hardly work him on the dirt either.
Yeah, kind of an odd move, but I guess maybe with the pedigree, you're already entered, might as well see if it works out. The experiment didn't work, and that's okay. You find out.
Especially with a New York bred, because you got to know if you can leave them around during the winter. We'll have official prices and reactions for you after this break, but we'll also catch up with the trainer who has won shared 5 consecutive meet titles here on the NYRA circuit. Linda Rice, as shrewd as they come. We'll learn more about her story after the break.
And they're off. Power pretty close up in the early stages as the field approaches the quarter pole, and it's Gunite trying to fend off Elite Power, who's motoring like a big chestnut tank on the outside. And Elite Power and Gunite, Elite Power got him right on the money in 109.22 seconds.
Perla, the classic sire.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings right from your phone with NYRA Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with NYRA Bets.
Early voting comes inside. He lets the Breakers by elect.
Disarm takes the Met win.
Antiva, they win the Bet Park Pennsylvania Derbies.
Wicked Halo, who wins the Raven Run Stakes.
Nobody catching Society.
Cyberknight has won the National over Tava and Gunite in the Forgo.
Echo Zulu wins the next gen Breeders' Cup Jubilee.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races. Happy to be joined here by Mike Deeney, conditioner of Straight Arrow, who just put in a massively impressive performance. He was traveling so sweetly in behind him. What were you thinking going down the backstretch?
I knew he had a lot of horse, but we're still trying him distance-wise, and down the backside, I said, well, see if he'll get tired of taking dirt, but on the turn, you could see he was going to win.
Mike, this is a horse that just ran so well last time on the turf. I mean, he just really was very unlucky. I think he was best that day. What do you do with him now as big as he ran on the dirt today?
It's probably going to be a toss-up. We'll wait for New York Day and see which race looks the easiest, hopefully, and try to go there. But I think he's still going to be a turf horse down the road.
Well, you and I spoke about this horse during the summer, Straight Arrow, and you were saying how he can be difficult, and there were a couple of things that he was, needed to mature, but it seems like he's taking big steps forward.
Yeah, he's starting to stay with the pony now and stuff, and like I was telling the owner, Friday he almost got loose. He dropped the rider, and he still has his issues, but he's getting more professional.
This was a big performance. You've got to be really excited and pleased. I know the owner was very happy.
Oh, yeah, he's been a good deal because I called him in February and said, you may have a nice riding horse, because he wasn't allowed to train at Tampa no more because he was that bad, and then we gelded him, and he slowly came into his own.
Well, great job. And really, seeing this horse develop from the middle of the summer to now has just been a privilege and fun. And a trainer with patience and a vision, he got him going in the right direction.
As evidenced by his running lines, he didn't start till midway through his 4-year-old season, but like his sire, Arrogate, they're kind of like a fine wine. They do get better with some age on them, as Straight Arrow returned 770 for the win. It was pretty funny what Mike Deeney just said, and a proponent of what I always say, sometimes you just have to geld them.
Exactly. Imagine being so bad that you're banned from the racetrack.
Yeah.
From Tampa.
I know. That takes a lot. I wonder what he was doing. Anyway.
A little curious.
Yeah. Must have gotten loose every single day of his life. Coming up, our featured allowance race. It is for the New York bred 6 furlongs. We'll see the return of General Banker, who showed a lot of promise early on in that 3-year-old season, but he'll have to contend with Newport Bridge, who will go out for Jose Ortiz and Linda Rice. And as I mentioned before the break, Linda Rice searching for her 6th consecutive meet title that she's won outright or shared, coming off the heels of that Saratoga meet where she won with and tied with Chad Brown. But a career that has spanned 36 years. And this year, in 2023, her best year to date, with her runners earning over $8.5 million. But as we'll see in this next piece, it has allowed Linda to be reflective as well.
When I go to the barn in the morning and train horses that I'm excited about running, that's what drives me. Winning races, whether it be a claiming race or a stakes race or a grade 1 at Saratoga, it's so much more fun than losing. Okay, guys, Jose, I'm ready for the first one. Go ahead. We're going from the half out 5/8. My father, he was a hard worker, and he was very ambitious, instilled a strong work ethic in my 3 brothers and myself. And he had a love for the horses his whole life, and he instilled that in us as well.
It's double booked in front.
My first good horse was a horse named Double Booked, a grass horse, when I started training at Monmouth Park, and a filly of my father's named Ready Jet Go. But I would say that City Zip was a very good 2-year-old. I brought him here. He won all 3 2-year-old stakes here.
It's City Zip in front of the 16th. City Zip by 3.
He would be the horse that really helped move me along the path that I am on now. I like to claim a lot of young horses with lightly raised horses that I think have both potential on their pedigree side and, of course, conformation. So that's been a big asset to my claiming, which has been probably in the last 5 years I've been doing more of.
Voodoo Song digs in. Is he going to do it? He is! Voodoo Song won the 4-star Dave!
New York racing is, frankly, it's my home. I've been here for quite a few years. I have gone from a young trainer that was struggling to climb the ladder to being a mainstay in New York. And I think by not diluting my business at different venues, I think it's been helpful for me to be successful right here in New York. I'm all about New York racing. My father always said, well, he didn't want to die in the harness. And I think about that sometimes, but I don't know what my day would be like if I didn't have horses to train or to be around or to be excited about. Linda Rice. I'd like them to say she was one hell of a horse trainer, and she earned it.
Linda Rice, as shrewd as they come, successful businesswoman, and even more so, horsewoman, as you see right there. 37 wins to win the Aqueduct Winter title, and Belmont Spring is, I mean, she was just sensational up there as well. And and 35 wins at Saratoga. She just came guns a-blazing a lot with those horses that she claimed from Churchill, and all of them just seemed to win and perform.
Her Kentucky claims were so sharp that they have now changed some of the rules about claiming in Kentucky, and that moment where she was able to tie up those meet standings, you and I were there with Lieutenant Mitchell able to tie trainer Chad Brown for that Saratoga meet, and that was a cool moment to be a part of to close things out.
Yeah, it was the last race of the meet.
Yeah,
that was crazy. Very exciting. Like a photo finish coming down to the wire. It ended up in a dead heat. Well, coming up next, we are checking out her charge in today's featured race. The 8th coming up, Newport Bridge. He is third off a bit of a layoff and last time beaten by repeat winner Win for Gold. But more on this race and who he has to beat this time around on America's Day at the Races.
The Run Happies are running, the Run Happies are selling, the Run Happies are winning. Eclipse champion Run Happy is showing a new dimension with winners on turf, dirt, and all weather. A record-breaking sprint champion, Run Happy is also showing winners at all distances.
The son of Run Happy, Nutella Fella, has won the hopeful.
One happy mama wins the Iowa sorority.
Run Happy, price for value, and standing strong at Claiborne Farm.
Just minutes from downtown Saratoga Springs, you'll find GMP Farm, a utopia of healing for equines and humans, offering revolutionary, customized equine care using state-of-the-art imaging and therapeutic technologies for horses of all disciplines. Immerse yourself in tranquility in our sacred spa, offering specialized spa treatments and holistic therapies to refresh and rejuvenate among tranquil mountain views. Start your journey to wellness. Visit gmpfarm.net and sacredspaandwellness.com to schedule a treatment today.
Central Banker is a Grade 2 winner whose well-balanced good looks helped him attract full books every year since he launched his career at McMahon Thoroughbreds of Saratoga in 2018. Now that his runners have proven themselves on the track, breeders are beating a path to his court.
Breeders gravitate towards consistency and a sure bet. It's an uncertain world out there. And, you know, Central Banker in our regional program and even in abroad has really helped breeders find sure footing.
Central Banker progeny have earned more than $18 million. That includes Bank Sting, who was named champion New York bred Older Mare and champion sprinter of 2022. She retired with earnings of $664,000. McMahon of Saratoga's Central Banker stamps all his progeny.
Every single Central Banker foal comes out very well balanced, medium big size with good bone. They train easy. They are not too wild as youngsters, just wild enough as 2-year-olds.
And it pays to have a New York bred, as we see several central banker progeny represented throughout our days of racing here in New York, especially one coming up in today's feature, General Banker, who will be making a return to the races. We haven't seen him since mid-May. He is one that does like a wet track as well, Sarah, as we'll take a look back at his maiden breaking performance on aforementioned wet track in the New York Stallion Series Great White Way.
And this was as a 2-year-old, and he was able to upset the field in that stakes race to break his maiden and add a price. It sometimes pays to have those horses that haven't had their first win go into stakes company if they're showing some consistency and ability. And he is that type of horse, able to draw away from this field, and just one that really continued to outrun his odds going forward. He was third in the Withers, third in the Gotham at a huge price, 30-1 that day, and then didn't really fire in his next 2 starts. Tried the turf and kind of an experiment to try to go back to that, and now he's been freshened up since that time. But he has those races to go back to, and especially if he's improved since then, that would make him pretty competitive in here.
That is the question. Has he improved at all? As Javier Castellano, the Hall of Famer, will get aboard as we head down to our resident should-be Hall of Famer, Richard Migliore, for more on General Banker coming back to the races. Mig?
Yeah, thanks, Maggie. You know, listen, the one horse, General Banker, looks terrific. I mean, he's got a very light work tab coming into this, really, but he looks fit. And this is a horse that has shown that, you know, fondness for an off surface. Was third in the Gotham, you know, well beaten third, but still he's at grade 3 place. And he's making a really nice impression here in the Paddock. I would feel a little bit more confident if he had a little bit deeper of a work tab, but again, he does look very fit to me. The 3-horse G Munning, I like this horse turning back to 6 furlongs. Looking at him from a physical perspective, he just really looks like a typical sprinter. He's by Munnings. He's got that big, powerful hind end, and I just think the turn back is going to be something that's really, really good for him. The 4 10-cent Town, this horse would get the Paddock check mark. This horse is so well turned out. I love the weight he's carrying in all the right ways. Very, very strong, really nice, rich, resplendent coat. 10-cent Town off the first time off the Gary Siaka claim, really checking the boxes for me. And then, of course, the 6, Dr. Settle's Dream. It's a Bill Mott horse, and anytime you look up and you like a horse, usually it's one of a few trainers that consistently their horses look really good, and Dr. Settle's Dream is checking the boxes as far as the physicality goes. But right now, I would definitely be intrigued with the 1 and the 4 the most. They're the ones that really caught my eye.
And Mick is right when talking about General Banker's light work tab. I mean, it looks as though he only works every 10 days to 2 weeks. So not really showing that consistent every 7 days type of work tab. We'll see how it plays out on the racetrack. But currently, everybody gravitating somewhat to number 3, G Munning, and I had my doubts about him getting a mile. Sarah, in that last start, good to see that Chad Brown and company have turned him back to the 6 today.
Just makes sense at this distance, and we'll take a look at a race where he was sprinting and he was coming off a bit of a layoff too, a horse that we hadn't seen since October of 2022, and he's finishing behind some pretty good New York breds as well that we've seen have success from that point on, and Mariachi as well as Z-Bear, horses that are really sort of those top New York bred sprinters right now, and I don't think really lost anything in defeat, finishing third behind the 2 of them, especially with that layoff to be considered. So you can forgive him for not running quite as well at a short price last time because of the distance.
Yeah, the only slight concern is that I have seen this horse kind of look his best when coming in off of a freshening, but kind of looking at him on the TV and based upon what Mig said, I think he's probably going to be okay here. I like to see this horse have a little bit of energy, and you can tell he's just kind of simmering under the surface there, walking around the Big A Paddock. As Meg also brought up number 4, 10-cent Town, who wasn't necessarily on my radar, but when you're dealing with these conditions, I find that multiple winners are sometimes ones that you have to pay attention to as he's 3 for 7 lifetime. As we'll go back down to the paddock and check in with Mig, who's standing by with the trainer of General Banker.
Yeah, thanks, Maggie. And I'm with Jim Ferrara. And, looking at General Banker here in the paddock, Jimmy, he looks very, very fit, but kind of a light work tab, if you will, coming into this.
Yeah, I was hoping he'd work a little better than last time. It was a little on the slow side. But he's feeling good and eating everything up.
I mean, he looks really good. Are you confident that he's fit enough going in, so you think he'll be better for the race?
No, he's pretty fit. He ran good first time out as a 2-year-old, going 5.5 in Saratoga.
I mean, here's a horse that's earned over $430,000. I mean, he's got the one win, but hitting the board in the Gotham, he's got to be a horse that you're really excited about.
Yeah, he has a lot of conditions, and we're looking for a great winter.
Okay, best of luck here, Jim. And look, guys, he looks fit to me here in the paddock. I got to think he's going to be tough.
All right, General Banker. We'll see what we get from him coming back off the layoff. As Jimmy Ferraro, always a man to not mince his words.
I respect it.
I love it.
He's giving it to you straight.
Yeah, love it. And he teaming up here with Javier Castellano as well, Dr. Settle's dream. Mig brought him up, but he just looks slow to me. And is this really his best surface? He ran okay last time in an off-the-turf event.
You know, he was a big price last time, and I actually think that he ran better than most were expecting on the switch to the dirt, a horse that had run exclusively on the turf. And interesting that he did stay in that spot, the $35,000 non-winners of 2 level at Saratoga. He's been working well on the dirt since then. He posted a bullet work following that effort on October 6th, and I think that effort probably gave Bill Mott the confidence to sort of try to keep him on this surface and see if he's a horse that they can keep around facing New York breds throughout the winter, because that was also against open companies. So maybe that third place effort inspired them to kind of leave him in and see what they get. Now second time on this surface, but you're right, that race was not quite as fast as what some of the other contenders towards his inside have run on this surface. He got a 70 Beyer speed figure for it, and he would have to improve a bit to get to the horses like General Banker, G-Munning, and Newport Bridge.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Breeze back on October 6th, best of 58 on the Oklahoma training track, as we will see My Last Mission, I believe, going out first. A horse that at times has run competitive races, though he'll have to bring a show on the road a bit, shipping in from the Mid-Atlantic for Damon Dilladovico.
He has races to go back to in terms of numbers that could make him competitive in here and kind of taking some money in this race. This is a horse that was 10-1 on the morning line, now bet down to 6-1. So maybe bettor's a little bit interested, thinking he could re-find some of that form.
And Damon teaming up with Katie Davis, who rode for quite a while on the Maryland circuit, where she met her eventual husband, Trevor McCarthy, as we'll begin the post parade with the aforementioned number 2, My Last Mission, coming in from the Big T.
Yeah, and I mean, just getting in against that New York bred company, a horse that has been facing open in that Mid-Atlantic circuit, just as you mentioned, his best race could compete here.
Yeah, not one we often see. Big T to the big A.
Very true.
Love me some Timonium. There is your comeback kid, number 1, General Banker.
Just a horse that's very consistent, and we'll see what he brings back to the table now as a later 3-year-old.
Current 5-2 favorite on your screen there. That's number 3, G-Munning.
The cutback should help this horse. Good performance 2-back.
10 Cent Town make his first start for the Siaka barn.
And just last time was the time with him as he leaves the Morey barn. He was able to get pretty comfortable early on.
Newport Bridge looking sharp again for this effort.
And if he runs his last race, he's going to be tough in here. His 3 races prior to that on dirt, not so much.
Dr. Settle's Dream. Is he a dirt horse?
We'll find out. I mean, that race last time kind of surprising to all involved, and his trainer opts to keep him on this surface.
Coming in from Finger Lakes, Trap the Dream making his first start for Mark Hennig.
We'll see what we get on the trainer switch, a horse that would likely have to improve quite a bit, and you see that reflected on the tote board.
As we head into this late double, make sure you bet all the races on your Naira Bets account. If you're not a member, become one today and earn that $200 deposit match bonus when you use promo code MATCH200. Use that QR code or check out NairaBets.com as we get back to, I believe, upstate. Saratoga? Is that where you are, JK?
You nailed it, Mags. It's colder than it was last time you were here, but it's still nice. You know, I enjoy it up here. I'm going to go with the one General Banker for a couple of reasons. Basically for 4 reasons, maybe 5. His last 4 starts, this horse had a trip in every race. The last time it was on the turf, so we won't focus on that one too much, but 2, 3, and 4 back. This horse has had a trip in every single race, and I actually think that probably a couple of those races going the 8 furlongs and the 9 furlongs, probably not exactly what General Banker wants to do. I think actually shortening up is going to help quite a bit. Now, there seems to be enough horses in here that have enough speed to keep it honest in front of him. And if he can work out a trip with Javier Castellano, I think General Banker could be extremely tough in here. If it's not the one General Banker, then I have no problem saying it could be any one of these, except for the 7. I don't think the 7 can win. But yeah, I've been looking forward to trying to get General Banker at a nice square price. I think the 4-to-1 you're getting now on him makes a lot of sense. I'm not going to be surprised if G Munning wins or Newport Bridge, the 2 horses that seem to figure on paper. But man, I really do think the one General Banker's in here with a shot.
All right, General Banker. Generous 4-to-1, I would say, Sarah, coming back off the layoff for a horse that certainly has the credentials, being graded stakes placed on 2 occasions to come back and be competitive against these New York breds.
Yeah, 10 Cent Town taking quite a bit of money right now to be your 3rd choice in the wagering rather than a General Banker. Of course, that can change while we have a couple more minutes to post time, but I think that 4-to-1's fair on a horse that has those back races to go to and has just faced a lot of tougher company throughout his career.
Well, 3-to-1, your current 2nd choice is number 5, Newport Bridge. We'll go back and take a look at his maiden-breaking performance on June 9th over at Belmont. And this is a horse that I thought maybe he should have won, though he was involved in that 3-horse photo, 2 back in the off-the-turf race, and then last time he was sparring on the front end with the really in-form Win for Gold, who would win his next start with a 93 buyer.
Yeah, no knocks against a horse that was dueling early with Win for Gold. Those are just tougher horses that he was facing in his last start, Win for Gold and Be the Boss last time out at Saratoga. But when you go back to that maiden win, I don't necessarily know that that was the strongest field that he was beating. I think that since then he's faced much tougher horses in general. I kind of wonder if that number that he earned last time was more a function of the company that he was keeping than him running quite that well.
Mig, as we check back in with you trackside, you often say that your opinions of horses can change upon viewing them in the paddock versus out in the racetrack. Has it changed when it comes to General Banker?
No, not a tremendous amount, really. I think General Banker made a nice impression in the paddock, continued to make a nice impression on the racetrack. I like the horse. I mean, he's a gem of consistency. I mean, just look at his buyer figures, even with trips. And, you know, any horse that has earned over $400,000. I mean, you've got to respect this homebred for Seacoast Thoroughbreds. And I just honestly couldn't get past how light the work tab is, even though I do think he looks fit, and every horse is an individual and they respond differently to training. Some need more training, some need less training. I do think he looks fit. I just couldn't get past the light work tab, so I'm going in a little bit of a different direction. The 3G Munning, sharp in the paddock, ultra sharp in the warm-up, looks absolutely fantastic. And listen, sprinting against Mariachi, who is a sprinter, it was a real good effort back in July, coming off of a layoff that day. Then he stretched to a mile against a informed Ciccio Bello. I think the turnback's going to help him considerably. And then the 4-10 Cent Town. I landed on this horse. I liked him in the paddock. He caught my eye. I think he looks like he's really in good form. And I think he's going to be kind of sitting in a good spot. I think he could trip out. I think he should be fairly forward.
Well, yet again, we have a late scratch here on this card. Take Out Long Shot on the outside. That's number 7, Trap the Dream, as he is being escorted to the chute. And Trevor McCarthy going to get a ride back with the follow ambulance. So Trap the Dream, late scratch here. Doesn't have as much of an impact as Silo Ridge did as a late scratch here in this 8th race, but nonetheless.
Yeah, erring on the side of caution today. Perhaps some of the conditions of the racetrack maybe playing a part and wanting to be extremely diligent, as always, in terms of making sure that everybody has that fair opportunity to compete. Bettors as well. You don't want your horse, if you liked number 7, Trap the Dream, to be running at anything less than their best ability. So this one, as you mentioned, not going to have as much of an impact as a horse that was your heavy favorite in Silo Ridge.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point that sometimes, you know, this sealed, harder track can, some horses may not move as well over it. And I think that's being very cautious when it comes to our riders and our attending veterinarians to put the horse first, as we do see them heading into line here. General Banker will commence loading at 2-1, though, on number 5. And here, Newport Bridge. He's battling for favoritism with G Munning. Chad Brown looking for another win on the card, but so is Linda Rice. As we get it up to Chris Griffin with the call of our featured Race 8, Belmont at the Big A.
G Munning steps forward. Here's 10 Cent Town. 2 out. Newport Bridge. Dr. Settle's Dream is it. All set. And they're off. And we had a bad stumble there at the start. Unseating the rider was 10 Cent Town. 10 Cent Town unseated the rider. That was Dylan Davis. Unseated. He is sitting up. Assistant starters are tending to him right now in front of the starting gate. But the 4 is out of the race. On the front end, it's My Last Mission who's got the lead, is now a neck in front of Newport Bridge right to the outside here from second. Then in behind them, that's G Munning and Manny Franco. To the outside of that one comes Dr. Settle's Dream. That's the leading 4 as Manny Franco wants off the rail there with G Munning. The trailer is General Banker, and the loose horse is towards the outer rail there, is in the clear, and I see Dylan Davis walking to the ambulance as we speak. 22.71 for the opening quarter mile. And to the inside here, it's My Last Mission, and Katie Davis has got the lead. But ranging up on the outside, here comes Newport Bridge and Jose Ortiz. They're ready to challenge. Also right there is Dr. Settle's Dream, who's now under a drive here on the center of the racetrack. But My Last Mission keeps going, and there is General Banker. General Banker is unleashed here on the grandstand side, is gobbling up the ground now, and General Banker has run by. My Last Mission is coming back towards the inside, but it's going to be General Banker, My Last Mission. General Banker gets the victory. General Banker over My Last Mission. Then that late run from G Munning. The loose horse is about to be collared here by the outrider. And again, Dylan Davis walked back to the ambulance. Final running time, 1 minute 11.27 seconds.
Well, an eventful start here to this 8th race, as we saw 10 Cent Town stumble and unseat Dylan Davis, but a nice catch there by our outrider. Does look like Miguel Gutierrez.
I think that's Duke.
Making the catch there. Is that Miguel? I can't quite see. No, that might not be Miguel. I may have made a mistake there.
Is that Duke the pony?
It's not Miguel.
No.
Oh, I can't see. But that... I know that pony. I can't think of his name either. But anyway,
everyone's safe, which is good news.
Dylan Davis up on his feet, as well as Javier Castellano got a General Banker from a last to first victory here. Very confident in the end. My Last Mission holding on gamely for second after setting the early fractions.
Yeah, great ride by Katie in second with a horse that had those races to go back to and was taking nibbles in the wagering to be forwardly placed and end up finishing second. But great to see General Banker, a horse that had that promise in his early 3-year-old season, and as a 2-year-old come back with a victory and a generous price at 4-1.
Yeah, I wonder if the work tab kind of concerned people or the time away from the races, but you're right. 4-1 was very generous on a horse who, as we mentioned, was great at stakes placed and just a gem of consistency, especially against his fellow New York breds. Getting the win here and a running time. Luis Gonzalez, thank you to our producer Evan and those who came up with that, because my eyes are failing me as I get older, I feel like. And plus that sun is very much in our eyes right now, but a nice catch to apprehend 10 Cent Town. Looks as though everybody is A-okay after that mishap at the start. General Banker gets the win here. Son of Central Banker for Seacoast Thoroughbreds of New England, and Jimmy Ferraro, the winning conditioner, will have prices and reactions for you on the other side of this break. Stay tuned. America's Day at the Races continues.
The sun shines bright on Carryover. His first crops of racing age are showing brilliance on the racetrack with a high percentage of stakes winners. His versatility is evidenced by winners on all surfaces across the globe.
Spandarella could not have been more impressive.
The sun shines bright on this value sire.
Fair down 25, fair down 25, fair down. Thank you. Right here, 525,000.
Carryover, standing at Gainesway.
Keeneland, a horse will always be measured in hands. Hands that see, that sense, that speak. Hands that hold our sport to a higher standard. Not for our sake, but for theirs. For the love of the horse, for generations to come.
Speightstown. Munning. Echo Town.
It's Echo Town for Joe Talamo, and Echo Town raced away.
And Echo Town is drawing away in the stretch. Echo Town wins the Allen Turkin Stakes.
A sire line so prolific, it repeats itself. Echo Town.
The world's premier breeding stock event, the November sale at Fasig-Tipton. One of the West Coast's top fillies, Feza, won each of her first 5 starts, including an undefeated 2-year-old campaign. The daughter of fast-rising Gervin won at first asking for owner Michael Lund Peterson and trainer Bob Baffert. She next won at the elite level with a spirited victory in the Grade 1 Starlet Stakes in just her second outing, stretching out to 2 turns.
A stirring finish in the Starlet, Feza!
Feza kept up the pace during her 3-year-old season with a trio of graded stakes victories at Santa Anita, including the Grade 3 Las Virgenes and Grade 3 Santa Isabel. From there, she trounced the field by 6.5 lengths in the Grade 2 Santa Anita Oaks. A product of the Airdrie Stud Breeding Program, Feza's Dam is a half-sister to Grade 2 winner 1,000 Words out of the top sprinter, Pomeroy's Pistol. Grade 1 winner Feza, selling this November with Hill & Dale, agent.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races, as race number 8, our featured event, General Banker, with this Fasig-Tipton lead in, brought to you by them and the November sale, the world's premier breeding stock event. Nominate now to the sale where stars are sold. Always fun to check out that live auction / the results as some really nice horses are sold that day. General Banker returns at 10:20 for the win, and we throw it down to Mig standing by with his pilot.
Thanks, Maggie. And yeah, Javier, just a really nice trip you worked out. There was plenty of pace on in front. It looked like he was always traveling well.
He really did. I like the way he broke out of the gate and the way I handicapped the race. I like to be a little close to the pace. But when Sue opened the gate, he changed everything. You know, it seemed to me the hot pace in the beginning of the race, they went pretty quick. I didn't have a chance to rush it too much, to beat it close, and I let him give you a little break in the backside, let him develop the horse in the nice, good stride and good rhythm. And then I step up aside, and the rest it was over.
Javier, you're a Hall of Famer, and obviously you do your homework. This is a horse you've never sat on before. What do you do to prepare properly for a horse you've never ridden?
Well, Richard, basically, like you say, you know, I never rode a horse before. Usually, I'll go back to the perform and see the horse that he been racing before, and then I watch a replay. Very lucky now, so we have so many tools now. You can able to watch a replay and see the horse how he run and everything, and use the best judgment in the race. That's the most important, the jockey, and let him feel on the pop parade when he warm up the horse. You see how they like the track. And it's a lot of everything, a little put it together in your mind. When you open the gate, you got to use your best judgment in the race and work out perfect for me.
Well, consistently, you use very good judgment. Now, we were talking off camera, talking about watching video. Your big horse, Arcangelo, worked this morning at Santa Anita. Did you get to watch the work, and what did you think?
I really did. Very satisfied the way he did it. Very nice and comfortable ready. A little good pace, good track, good speed today. It seemed to me how he finished the horse today. Lately, they've been working the horse nice and good ready. Today we put a hot pace, and the way he finished today, a minute galloping now 1:13. I really like the way he did it. I think now we have to be prepared for the big race.
How excited are you for the Breeders' Cup?
Very excited. You know, you don't have too many opportunities to ride with those bigger races, especially the Breeders' Cup class and the big horses in the country. You know, and lucky enough and blessed to be part of it, and hopefully everything work out great. And I really like my horse. He's very consistent. Gina, she does a very good job with the horse. And keep a finger crossed and pray how everything goes well.
Well, congratulations here, and congratulations on an incredible year. And guys, no matter, he's already in the Hall of Fame. His resume is impeccable. He's won all three of the legs of the Triple Crown, and the preparation is still that intense. I love it.
I swear Javi could just run for mayor somewhere. He can certainly sell it, and he has that smile. During his interviews as well, it gets the win with General Banker, and like Richie was asking him, we'll have that date with Destiny. I mean, it would just feel like a fairy tale year if he and Arcangelo were able to win that Breeders' Cup Classic.
And they will be one of the favorites to do so, if not the favorite, just as you mentioned earlier when we were talking about Arcangelo and just the rides that Javier has been able to bring to the table all throughout this year and really last year as well. Every level of racing, he's giving smart, thoughtful rides that have contributed to his success over time.
Yeah, as he contributes a nice $10.20 winner to our Pick 6 follow along. It started off with Fireworks, so Strong Light, and we've only seen one favorite win, and that would be Phelpsy, paying $4.20. So not the most straightforward Pick 6. And have you looked at Will Pays?
Everything will be paid out.
Okay.
The lowest payout will be to the number 7 Charisse for, I think, a little over $8,000. If you were able to come up with Strong Light to start things off, the rest of the way,
all button action.
Maybe. Pretty logical the rest of the way, but not all favorites. So, tough sequence. It's not
Strong Light did have the best figure coming into that race, so just can you trust it? As we will see a married couple coming up in today's last to cap things off, Katie Davis and Trevor McCarthy. It's been a racetrack romance that has led to a beautiful family. We'll learn more about their partnership after this break.
They say breed the best of the best and hope for the best.
Vacoma broke well on the outside.
But you don't expect to get speed like this.
Is Vacoma the one to catch? Vacoma has a 5-length lead in this grade 1 quarter. Vacoma continues to battle on down at the rail. It is Vacoma who's going to win the Met Mile.
my husband. We race against each other.
We've met at a really young age. Both our fathers rode together down at Gulfstream Park in the late 90s. And as little kids, we knew each other on the racetrack. We really got to know each other well when she came to Delaware and started riding. You know, we were friends for a really long time, and it worked out nice, you know, and now, you know, we're married and we have a beautiful family together.
I got a busy day today. That'll be fun. Hopefully I get to beat him. You know, going into this meet, I was talking to my agent, Joe, which is Trevor's agent as well, so it's one big family.
I was a little skeptic at the time, and I was kind of like, you know, maybe you should just get your own agent. You know, you do your own thing, and we'll do our own thing, you know. And Joey always hinted to me that he wanted to take her, and I'm like, you know, it's probably not a great idea to mix it. But look, it's worked out really great. You know, we kind of both lean on each other and, you know, help each other out when we're in spots of working horses in the morning. I've worked plenty for her, and she's worked plenty for me, so it worked out nice. We just have such a great relationship with Joey, and he's done a really good job for us.
Yeah, I said on the video, I said I'm going to beat Trevor, and he beat me. That was awesome. Happy for him. Gal Dad said congratulations. That's good. That's good. It's fun. It's enjoyable. We used to butt heads. You know, there are times where he'd come home, he wouldn't speak to me, but I had to make dinner. And there's times where I was like, see you later, I'm going to get dinner. Either you're coming with me or you're not, but you have to talk to me at dinner.
But it's like any other family, you know, you're gonna have your battles, you're gonna have your disagreements, you're gonna have your own opinions.
We grew to understand, you know, our happy medium balance to help each other, and we're very supportive. So we love the game, and we're very competitive as well, and there's nothing better than dueling with your husband down the lane.
They're in the final furlong, left them behind. Now coming right to Mudville 9. And it's left them behind for the home team from Saratoga Stable.
It's nerve-wracking to watch your wife go out there and, you know, the person you truly love the most. You never want to see anything bad happen to them. So she makes me a little nervous, but inside me, I'm her biggest fan.
I truly love both of them. They are so much fun to watch. And Meg, as somebody who's to your wife was, a fixture at the racetrack as well. And now you have a son who obviously is their agent, and Joe, but you always have to kind of leave the racetrack behind when you come home for it to all work out.
Yeah, but a very difficult thing to do. You know, being a jockey is not a job. It's a way of life, and how you do everything, how you eat, how you sleep, how you approach the game. It's all encompassing, and I think it's very difficult. My wife Carmela was an assistant trainer back in the day when there weren't very many female assistant trainers, and it was a terrific horse person. So we could talk about horses and racing, but on a different level. We weren't competing against each other. I don't know how they balance it. It's very difficult. Obviously, they're built differently, so they're two different types of riders. But it's a balance and a fine balance. Of course, you got to be competitive, and it is interesting. My son Joseph is their agent. They all kind of grew up together. I competed with Robbie Davis as well as Mike McCarthy, Trevor's dad, two terrific riders and terrific competitors. So it's kind of interesting to see this next generation kind of pick up the mantle and go forward.
Yeah, Meg talking about the way that they're built being different. I mean, it's not often you see two jockeys and they're hugging each other and one's nearly like a foot taller than the other.
Trevor's tall for a jockey.
Trevor is tall. He's the one guy that actually makes me look short. So, but really hardworking couple there, and it's good to see them and their love and their beautiful daughter Riley around the racetrack as well. Looks like she can't escape being around the horses too, and we'll see them represented here in today's nightcap with Trevor on the first-time starter, My Royal Vow, and Katie will be aboard the long shot inside runner benevolently for Mark Hennig. More on this race to come after the break.
The momentum continues for War Dancer as War Smoke delivers at Finger Lakes.
War Smoke in front, another one for Andre Worry.
Barrage runs down the field at Saratoga.
Here's Barrage with a final surge. Barrage got him.
And Born Dancer goes wire to wire, outlasting all comers.
It's going to get close. Be of Courage coming inside Born Dancer. Photo finish.
Shouldn't you have a War Dancer? War Dancer, proud to stand in New York.
On a perfect day, there is no finer place in all of sports.
Nerves, excitement, and anticipation.
Than beautiful, truly stunning. For the Breeders' Cup World Championships.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program. When shopping for your next race prospect, consider that New York breds start with an advantage. Our New York breds run for serious green. At Saratoga Race Meet, New York bred maidens run for up to $88,000. New York bred allowance horses run for up to $100,000. And New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race. So get back with the program. Seriously.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Welcome back to the program. It's America's Day at the Races here on FS2. And we are brought to you by Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Maggie Wolfendale along with Sarah El Badwi, Richard Migliori, and Jonathan Kinchin along for the ride as we see riders up in the paddock for today's nightcap off the turf. Maiden 40 going a mile on the main track. And we will kick things off with a horse. Before the break, we saw Katie Davis and Trevor McCarthy, a feature on them, and Katie will be riding Benevolent. Why does this word always trip me up? Benevolently.
And this is a horse that hasn't been in at a level like this on the dirt or against New York breds, kind of an unknown with these conditions, switching surfaces and dropping back down in class.
My notes from Tubac said she looked more like a dirt horse, though she didn't show up, but a subsequent long layoff as number 2, Purest Performance, will try the dirt for the first time.
If you go back to the second dam, there is some turf pedigree in there. The Oscar performances can do anything, but will need to improve.
7 went by. That is Charisse. Here's number 8, Debbie Darling. She has dirt experience, at least.
Kind of did a double take in the paddock. Looks a little bit like Galibrand and is dropping in class as well for the first time.
A lot of white on her. Is shopping at Bloomies is a gray, and she'll try the dirt.
A horse that hasn't been on this surface yet. There's a little bit of dirt pedigree going on if you look for it, so we'll see what we get from her.
First time starting 4-year-old, number 10, My Royal Vow.
And not necessarily what you want to see, a horse that hasn't made it to the races until late in their 4-year-old season, but this might be the kind of spot where this horse could be successful.
Yeah, as we did have a late scratch, not really sure what happened with number 13, Montauk Mystique. She was scratched a little under 5 minutes ago. There were no MTOs in here, but she was an AE that had drawn in to the field as 2-1 on the first-time starter from the ever dangerous Christophe Clement barn. As we'll check in with JK one more time. JK, what are your thoughts here on this kind of head scratcher?
Well, you know, my mom, my mother-in-law as well, they hate the word hate. They don't like the word hate. But I hate this board. You know, the fact that this Christoph horse is 2-1 first out, it's just like, I don't know who else to bet because the rest of them don't look like they really want to win. I thought the 7 was a little bit interesting. It may be a little bit of a price because the horse had run some nice numbers on the turf. It really didn't pick up her hooves when she ran on the dirt, but I thought could get a little cute there. Then the 8, who took money on debut, who I thought might be a price, but then ran horribly. the 2 times since then. It's just it's kind of infuriating that these 3 horses are basically all the same price or pretty similar. I picked the 7, but I don't like that. Whichever one of those 3 goes off at the highest price is my choice, because they all feel the same. They all have a lot of question marks. They all feel like they shouldn't be the favorite. So whichever of the 3 between the 7, 8, and 9, or 7, 8, and 10, excuse me, go off at the longest price, that's my official choice. These races are tough sometimes because you're trying to find someone who's shown some ability, some talent. The 7 did show some on the turf, though. The 8 did show a little bit with an okay figure taking money first out, and the 10 has great connections. I don't know. These races kind of leave me puzzled at times, but I'll stick with the 7 since I put it on there. But I'm going to have the nice little disclaimer that whichever one of these 3 goes off at the higher price is my other choice.
JK is very lucky that Andy Serling isn't on the show, because we'd have a field day with him saying that.
If only we could play the game
I
that way.
feel like I get away with doing that sometimes.
We all get away with things from time to time. But, if that's the way that we could officially put in our wagers, believe me, I'd want to do the same thing, Jonathan. So I agree. This race is a bit puzzling, and those 3 horses are the ones taking the bulk of the action, and bettors seem just as confused as we are with which way to go.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it feels like those 3. It's just which one? As we'll check in with Mig, who will bring us an update on the late scratch of Montauk Mystique.
Yeah, Maggie, Montauk Mystique was scratched because they could not find a rider for Dylan Davis, who was named on her unseated at the start of the last race, off his remaining mount, and they did not have a rider available to ride her. She was, to me, had a big chance in here, 7-2. I was just talking with Mike Maselli, her trainer. He's a former rider and a really good rider at that. And we were both saying we would have ridden her. I would have given my eye teeth to get on her right then and there. But she's fine. She walked around the paddock. They just did not have a rider available. A lot of jurisdictions will have an auxiliary rider on hold, pay them a certain stipend a day, and then if you get a situation like this, you have a rider to take their place. Years ago, riding the Ohio Derby, there was a guy that was cleaning up in the jocks room, and he was basically a janitor, and they needed a rider in the last. He put the silks on, went out there and won the race. So, something that maybe New York should look into, having an auxiliary rider, someone there prepared in instances like this, last race of the day, and not having a rider to pick up a very live mount. So, in fact, she is scratched. Talking of the horses that remain in, the 7, Charisse, a lot of, I thought out of the 2 Mark Hennigs, this is the one that looked to me like she might handle the dirt the best. She adds blinkers. The 8, Debbie Darling, has been running maiden allowance, drops in for the maiden 40 on the stretch out. Boy, a lot of white chrome there, kind of a white underbelly on her as well. And the 10, My Royal Vow, first-time starter. He gets a nice post, 6 of 6, warmed up beautifully. She's my selection just because I wanted a stranger. I wanted someone that kind of hasn't tipped their hand exactly what they are yet.
Oh, wait, Sarah, hold my mic. Meg, can I borrow some pants? No, I'm kidding.
I was going to say, get out there. I picked Montauk
No,
Mystique.
I would not make weight. We'd be about 30 over. No, plus 30 on the 13th.
You'd still win.
So going to post, we see the 10, the first-time starter, drifting up a bit. My Royal Vow. Look, this horse is a half to Simply, who more than capable on the main track, especially going around of ground. And Broken Vow can kind of get any sort of runner.
And Christophe Clement as well in these types of situations when you have horses that are making their debuts going around of ground on the dirt, especially with those New York breds. So looking around at the rest of this field, it makes sense why this is one that is taking some of the wagering action, because we don't know anything about this horse, but we know these are connections and there is some pedigree that point to this horse being capable first time out.
And Charisse is 2-1 currently. Street sense, good influence when switching to the main track, and is a half to Sandro the Great, who did win going long on the dirt. Will add blinkers today. And Debbie Darling, JK brought up a good point. She was bet into the teeth of Downtown Mischief way back when Downtown Mischief was is pretty good. So you know, that's where I would have landed if I was putting a pickup in number 8, Debbie Darling, looking for Javier Castellano to take that late double.
Absolutely. This is one that has faced better horses in each of her 3 starts so far than she's going to be facing in here today. Stretching out for the first time as well, coming off a little bit of a layoff, so there is some upside perhaps with this one.
All right, Jose Lescano heading into line. We'll head upstairs to Chris Griffin, who will bring you the call of the nightcap from Belmont at the Big A.
Thank you, Maggie. Race 9, 9th and final here, waiting on Shopping at Bloomie's. Shopping at Bloomie's. Goes in, and My Royal Vow, last to load. All set. And just as I say that, My Royal Vow backs away. Now back in. Now we're set. And they're off. Stumble there in between horses. That was Charisse, who stumbled at the start. Speed towards the inside, Benevolently is going to be in that early mix. Benevolently and Purist Performance. They're 1-2 as they get set to come out of the chute. Out wider there is Shopping at Bloomie's. Is now going to battle for that 3rd spot. He's going to lose it. He's going to go back to 4th here. My Royal Vow is now a neck in front of that rival and tightly down towards the inside. That's Debbie Darling. The trailer. After the stumble, that's Charisse, who's making up some ground quickly now, and Charisse is on the move from the back, but they went 23 and 3 for the opening quarter mile. To the outside is Purist Performance, who's now a length in front of Benevolently, who's back to 2nd. Looking for some room, and Debbie Darling. Javier Castellano wants to make a move right now, is starting to push on through. He's now going to have to tap on the brakes as Benevolently is backing up into that runner. Charisse is moving towards the outside here with My Royal Vow, and they travel as a pair. Also getting through with some clear running room with Shopping at Bloomie's as they come after this long shot now. Purist Performance is in front, but for how long? As Charisse and Jose Lescano, they have run right on by, and Charisse is now a neck in front. My Royal Vow is under a full drive. Same can be said for Shopping at Bloomie's. They went 47 and 3 for that half-mile time. 1:14.32 for 3/4, and Charisse kicks away. It's Charisse now opening up here in the late stages, proving much the best right now. Charisse approaches a final furlong, is now 3 lengths in front. Purist Performance is alone in 2nd. My Royal Vow to the outside. It's going to battle on for 3rd here, but it's going to be Charisse and Jose Lescano to win the finale. Charisse gets the victory over Purist Performance. Then came Debbie Darling and My Royal Vow. Final running time, 1:40 and 4.
Charisse, much the best for Mark Hennig and Jose Lescano. Blinkers going on and getting back to the dirt for the first time since her debut. Nice exacta, though, with the longest shot on the board in number 2, Purist Performance. Shannon Yuski giving this one, honestly, her best chance to win and sending her to the lead.
Oh, yeah. This was a horse that you maybe got a little bit nervous if you were liking somebody else at the top of the stretch. Seemed to be doing it very comfortably on the front end and just got run down by a horse that went off as your slight 2nd choice in the wagering.
That's right, as My Royal Vow went off as the slight favorite and ends up 4th in here. 7-2, 8-10 unofficially in the nightcap, and yeah, it was quite a day
outside of a strong light.
My man, Willie Youngins getting the job done, and Romero Mirage delivering a great ride to get the victory. And Mark Hennig is enjoying himself, I think, a nice and fruitful latter half to this 2023.
Had a really strong Saratoga meet as well after a really disappointing one last year, and the barn was so unlucky, I would say, at that time.
Like 2nds and 3rds.
Exactly, and I remember Top of the Mint was the breakthrough one for him finally to get the victory.
You know who that horse is a half to?
Who?
My husband's first grade 1 winner, and Have You Gone Away?
No way.
She was a complete outlier in the family, though.
I guess so. Sometimes all you need is one, but now he's having a great year so far this year and picking up a lot of wins, and another one here, a logical class-dropping type, off a little bit of a freshening too.
Jose Lescano getting the job done for Mark Hennig as he's standing by to greet his charge in the winner's circle. And Sarah, I mean, what can we take away from today? Anything? Come on, any
I'm glad the
final
general
thoughts
banker is
of
back.
wisdom?
That's exciting.
Exactly. I think that's exciting.
That was a good race. And
you know, Jimmy Farrar always heats up during the wintertime here at Aqueduct. This is like his track, his time to shine.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing a lot of those New York breds, seeing what those horses are going to be doing on the dirt moving forwards. I think a lot of trainers experimenting with whether or not they can keep their horses here on this circuit over the winter.
Yep.
So you're seeing a lot of turf horses perhaps try the dirt. That's interesting to see who can handle it.
Yeah, you never know who can step up and actually up their game on the dirt. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to hopefully some sunny skies continuing as we have been dodging raindrops, to say the least, here for this fall meet. But we did see Straight Arrow appreciate the return to the dirt, as he was a very convincing winner for Mike Deeney, a promising New York bred and general banker. We already knew he was the goods, but good to have him back at the track. Javier Castellano guiding him to a big return victory. You can see us next time on America's Day at the Races as we return Thursday, 12:30 to 5 p.m. Have a good night, everyone.